Insights Radio Generation.
Oh yes, indeed. This is Radio Generation. My name is Malindi Movie, and it is a Friday, the 18th day of July 2025. A very good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good morning. Trisha, you are here, and of course it is Friday. I'm so happy. Yeah, we are ending the week. Yeah, I know you are surprised. I'm happy.
I'm not surprised that the week is ending.
Yeah, when it is on Friday.
I knew Friday was coming. Yeah. One way or another, I saw Friday coming. Yeah, so it's not a surprise. I was expecting.
No, you're surprised that I'm so happy about it. I'm excited about it.
No, but you made it very clear that you're not a Monday person. Well, you're a weekend. You're more of a weekend person. Enjoying yourself.
Quite okay, okay, and actually enjoying yourself, having personal time with yourself. Quite important. You sometimes have to sit down after all this hustle and you evaluate yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Look at what you have achieved. Look at maybe other areas you would want to exploit and so forth.
I'm inspired by people in the business community. And by business community, I mean those who hustle hard every single day. And I have relatives who are in that hustle. And those people never sleep. Whether it's a Monday, whether it's a Sunday,
it's a weekend,
whether it's a Saturday. Mtu ako kwa simu 24/7. Biashara tu kazi. And those are the guys who've got money. You know what we call out here mad cash.
Are you saying that we do not have money as here?
What I'm trying to say is, do you know the word mad cash? Wacha hii cash ya kidogo ya kununua Del Monte over the weekend, na upeleke watoto sijui swimming alafu sijui husband ama mzee akupeleke salon. Mad cash ile watu wanasemanga ni Friday twende Dubai. Mad cash ni ile watu wanamkanga hivyo wanasema twende Zanzibar.
But you know one thing I like about money?
Yes.
Money is money. Whether it is mad, whether it is sane.
Not mad.
Money is money.
Yeah,
that is one thing that I like, because you see, for that person having a lot of cash,
right?
For this other person who is having medium cash, for this other person who is having a little cash, every other person, what I like is that you just need to balance your life with whatever you have.
Right.
That is one beautiful thing about money.
But me, let me tell you something. Choosing between money and mad money, I choose mad cash.
Mad cash,
any day.
Okay, me, I want enough cash in my life.
Okay. But you know, money can never be enough. Yes. Even billionaires such as Zakina Jeff Bezos, Zakina Dangote, they're always looking for new avenues to invest. Because money can never be enough.
Can never be enough, because as life proceeds.
Yes.
Yeah, you advances, actually, let me use the correct word. As life advances, you get new challenges, you get new needs. Yeah, so money will never be enough. That is why I said I like to have enough money. That means all my life nitaishi nikitafuta pesa, because money will never be enough.
The only thing that can make you have enough satisfaction is Jesus Christ.
Of course.
Mambo mengine sahau.
Sijui kama umenipata.
Nimekupata, but I'm trying to tell you,
because I will never have enough money. That is why I said I want that.
In reality,
yes,
ni Yesu tu atakutosheleza. Mambo mengine sahau. Okay, today, which day are we celebrating?
Today is Nelson Mandela International Day.
Oh, there's a Nelson Mandela International Day.
Well, I think this is an iconic leader that, of course, we cannot ignore. Especially here in Africa,
all right,
we cannot ignore, and I like it that it is an international day. Yeah, and it is, of course, meant to honor the efforts of Nelson Mandela, of South Africa, the later. We know the work that he did, especially in the liberation of South Africa.
Right.
Yeah, Pan-Africanism. And so many other things like human rights and so forth.
One detail about Mandela I remember is that he found himself one day in the USA, and the panel discussion, and someone from the audience asked him, so Mr. Mandela, what do you think about the issues about America? And that person mentioned a particular country that America at the time walikuwa na lumbana na hiyo country. Mandela akasema, one thing about the West, you people need to understand one thing: your enemies are not our enemies as Africa.
Yeah.
So must you expect, just because you have a problem, for example, with China, that now Kenya has a problem with China. Or
yes.
South Africa has a problem with China. Right now you're having issues with Russia. Don't think that now the rest of Africa, because we are friends, we should have issues with Russia. You deal with your issues with Russia, wacha sisi kama Africa to deal na shida zetu. If we want to be friends with Russia, we shall be friends with Russia, China and any other country we choose. And that is something about Mandela that taught me, just because you associate with someone, it doesn't necessarily mean you also associate with their character, ama tabia zao, ama mienendo yao. You can associate with them because you're probably doing business,
on a specific perspective,
but also have your own virtues and have a stand also as an individual.
That's quite true.
Yeah. All right.
100% true.
Can I give you a fun fact about Mandela? There's something called the Mandela effect. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah.
The Mandela effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people share a false memory about an event or fact. It's named after the widespread false memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he was released in 1990 and died in 2013. This effect highlights how memories can be subjective and prone to distortion, with people often holding strong yet incorrect correlations or recollections of things. Have you ever, mtu anakuambia vizuri sana, jana tulikuanga na mbuvi, na unasema hapana, mbuvi yako Mombasa alienda Monday, na hajarudi. Lakini watu wanakuambia hapana, jana tulikuwa na hapa ofisini hadi tukakunywa chai. Wewe unasema no way, mbuvi hata tumeongea naye jana jioni akiniambia kwa Mombasa.
Yes.
You see, so yours is a false memory, because you thought maybe we spoke on Monday when I was in Mombasa, but I came back on Wednesday and I had coffee with people in the office. But according to you, mbuvi yako Mombasa. So it's a false and you're convinced, mpaka unasema wacha niwaoneshe call log, tuliongea na mbuvi 7:15 akiwa Mombasa. When you open your call log, you realize kumbe 7:15 ni ya Monday, see a Friday, ama ya Thursday.
Okay.
So that is the Mandela effect. So there are actually some people who believe Mandela died in prison in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yes, there have been so many, by the way, myths around that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, and there are so many other examples of Mandela effect. Now it's a phenomenon that describes other things, like what I've just told you. You think we were together in the office or in Mombasa, kumbe mimi hata niko Nakuru. So that phenomenon, it's actually a very real one. There are people in this world who believe specific things that either never existed or they existed in a different way or a different time. All right.
You know, that reminds me of this one myth that people have. I don't know whether you've ever heard about Michael Jackson, that he never died. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, that's more of a conspiracy.
Oh, not a day, because they say like, I hear people say that we saw him somewhere. He was spotted somewhere in Europe.
Na si wale lookalikes wake.
So yeah, such things, I think. I was just trying to relate that with whatever you're saying.
All right. So are we celebrating any other day apart from Mandela International
No,
Day?
for today, let us go with that.
All right.
Yes, and on the quote of the day, RG Catering, taking us to this one person called Steve Biko, yes, who said, the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
The most potent thing in the hands of the
weapon, actually.
The weapon,
yes,
is the mind.
Yes.
Okay. That's very true. Because and we've even seen it here in Kenya, where the youth have been chanting fear is gone. Yes. Unaona mpaka mtu anaenda anasimama mbele ya askari anamfanyia mambo. That means that the mind has been in my opinion, it's the mind that has been liberated. You know, your parent can't do that. Yes, our parents can't go in front of the police and do hey, because they come from an era whereby police are to be feared. Yes. Hata ukienda kumit mtu mkubwa ama mtu wako in position of power like an MP or an MCA or a governor, you will always see our parents very timid, anampatia mkono moja na mkono mwingine una support ule mwingine, ama unaona wana bow to those particular individuals. Lakini Gen Z, millennials, anapatana na governor, buda ni aje. So it is because of that mindset. So it's very true. that when you have the potent thing, that the potent weapon that an oppressor has is his mind, or rather the oppressed.
I want to look at on the perspective of the oppressor. That is the weapon that he has. Like, if today I want to oppress you, movie.
Yes.
First of all, you know, it is very hard if I've not tampered with how you see things, how you perceive things.
Yes.
So just like a brainwashing. We have seen so many people getting into fights.
Yes.
We have seen countries getting into wars because of the like brainwashing. There are people who have been brainwashed. So I think that is, and actually that is what most of like terrorists, that is what they use.
Religious radicals.
Yes. Talk of radicalization, actually it's a matter of the mind.
Yeah.
Somebody works with your mind first.
Shakahola.
Before now you can now. Yes. Si kama kule Shakahola, watu wameenda kule. They have been brainwashed. Told hakuna kitu una expect hapa duniani, ni wapi?
Mbinguni.
Ni mbinguni. Anything on earth, forget about it. Yes, so they have worked, they've tampered with how you reason, how you look at things. So from there, now the physical one now comes in.
There's a pastor who came from West Africa. I think it must have been Nigeria. But in the 90s, alikuja aka convince watu wampatie mali yao in the name of it's going to be multiplied. People took their title deeds, people took their vehicles, people took a lot of things in the name of wacha nipatie Mungu hii ndio ikuwe multiplied. Until that guy, now the pastor, and I'll call him a fake pastor, disappeared with zote. Aliuza hizo mashamba, pesa, magari, kena nazo na akarudi nazo Nigeria.
So issues to do with radicalization, issues to do with cults,
right,
issues to do with propaganda, all those, they have something to do with your brain. So if your oppressor wants to pass a message or wants to use you, they will work on you, on your mind.
All right.
So that you get into line into what they want you now to go and accomplish.
All right. There you have it. Your brain is your most potent weapon, both for the oppressor and the oppressed. Let's get on to rgk.co.ke. If you haven't logged in there, or if you're listening to us for the first time, this is what we usually do every single morning. After we give you the motivation of the day, we get on to rgk.co.ke and we check out what is currently trending there. And these are the news that have been making headlines in the last couple of hours. So in case you missed it last night, kama unalalanga mapema kama kuku, sasa usijali, you still get the news here fresh as it was just last night. And this is what is happening today, this morning on rgk.co.ke. Prime suspect in Kenyatta Hospital ward killings arrested after fresh murder. So here goes the story. Police have arrested Kennedy Kalombotole. Let me say that again. Police have arrested Kennedy Kalombotole, the main suspect in a fresh murder at Kenyatta National Hospital, raising new alarm, or rather a renewed alarm, over patient safety at the country's largest referral facility. The arrest follows the killings of Edward Maingi Ndegwa, a patient admitted to Ward 7B, Group C, who was a male, on July 11th, and found dead in his hospital bed under disturbing circumstances on July 17th, 2025. Now, the hospital confirmed the incident on Thursday, with Chief Executive Officer William Sigilai saying the patient was discovered lifeless at around 2 p.m. shortly after visiting hours. So detectives are immediately calling in, or rather were immediately called in to investigate. Unakumbuka kuna jamaa mwingine pia, 2 other patients that died sometime early this year.
It's barely 5 months ago actually. Yes.
Yeah. So Bwana Kalombotole hapa amekamatwa. Let's see what happens after this. But it's very chilling to think that you would be not safe at a place like Kenyatta National Hospital. Umeenda kule kurecover, kupona, kuugua. Watu wanakufuata sababu gani?
It's quite unfortunate, like these things are happening in our country, and especially in that national health facility of the country. You know, we are looking at issues of security in that facility. I mean, how is security in that facility?
Right.
What happens, like, you know, there are those visiting hours when people have come to visit patients.
Right.
Do we have a security of officers moving just around You know, because for someone to get that time, and it was like they're saying it during the visiting hours, right? To get all that time to struggle someone kumkata, does it mean like hakuna kukwa tu na watu pale?
Unajua pia okay, security ya Kenyatta, because I've been to Kenyatta several times number one, they are very strict with visiting hours. Number two, when I was there, before ningie tulifanywa search. So, and this was before even the first murders happened early this year. So I'm wondering what changed. Ama this person who was committing these atrocities, ama alitumia weapon huko ndani juu last I checked kuingia na weapon huko ni ngumu sana.
I don't know whether which side did you visit?
Both the private wing and the public one.
Public wing.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't understand. So kama security for me, like I've never been there, so I don't know how the security procedures in that places you get. Like I've been in the environment, but I've never entered most of those wards. Yes.
Okay.
So I don't even understand how this can happen.
Yes.
Actually during the daytime, raising a lot of questions.
Yeah. All right. I do hope justice is served in this particular case. There's another story here. This one is a day old, but it's very interesting. Cuban labor minister resigns after denying existence of beggars amid economic struggles. Can I say that again?
Yeah.
Cuban labor minister resigns after denying existence of beggars amid economic struggles. So waziri wa labor alikuja akasema
nchi yetu
hakuna beggars. What do you mean? Wewe umeona beggar mgani? Until the evidence was produced and she resigned. It's a lady. She's called Marta Elena Feito Cabrera.
Wacha tu resign. Wacha tu aende nyumbani.
I want to compare. The reason I've chosen these stories because I want to compare it with the Kenyan situation. Here, ministers are caught pants down, lying through their teeth. Wengine wanasema mambo ambayo yanahatarisha maisha ya Wakenya.
Some of them I think they are usually ignorant.
Aya, wengine wanapatikana kwa scandals noma heavy,
but at a stick hapo.
Yani ile yani hii hata akideny, my friend, you are corrupt. Hii umepatikana pants down. But what happens?
Atakatalia hapo.
Oh, my community is being attacked. Oh, we are being profiled. Oh, my political enemies are plotting against me. Na mtu anakataa kuchomoka.
Na Wakenya vile tulivyo na huruma. Yeah.
Askari anapatikana katika makosa heavy. Aliua mtu. Lakini namna gani? Evidence imepotea. Ama kama yule mwingine tuliona jana, we are not saying that he's guilty. Anasema that wasn't me. Hiyo picha si yangu.
It wasn't me.
Lakini in Cuba, unapatikana ulisema uongo. You know, this is a lie that you can easily get out of. Utasema, huyo beggar amepatikana wapi? Machakos. Our survey in Machakos was only done around Matu. We didn't go deep. Hapo ndio maybe hatukujua kuna poleni sana. Kuna wengine mnajua mali wako Kakamega hakuna beggars. Okay, sawa pole, tutarekebisha hiyo statistics. And you continue with your office, but this one says this is wrong, my friend. I lied to the people of Cuba and I do not deserve to serve you because you do not deserve lies.
Again, and actually, you know that it was discovered that wako. Unajua, what I feel is that she was just ignorant, because even as advanced as we might think, or developed as we might think these countries, especially the Western countries, we might think they are.
Yes.
They have beggars. We have seen beggars in the US.
Right.
We have seen beggars everywhere. India, the Asian countries, we see beggars. You cannot just wake up. You know, there are some things that you just need to use your common sense. Like, how do you just wake up and say that we do not have beggars in Nairobi?
But
we do not have beggars in Europe. No. That I don't think. Hakuna place, hakuna beggar. It depends. So, beggar wa USA might be richer than a rich person in our country.
To be honest, nikwambia mali hakuna beggars, and you can even check. Monaco, hakuna beggars. That country has got a population of about 20,000 people, and every single citizen in that country is a millionaire.
You know, I'm looking at most of these big countries. That the population in that country, as you can see, is quite.
I expect Prince Albert is the prince there. He's the monarch in Monaco. If Prince Albert today woke up and said there are no beggars in Monaco, I won't even think twice about it. It's true.
But look at this.
Another country. Unakumbuka kuna country hapa hivi nimekuwa nikiwaambia, Liechtenstein.
Surely, how many people are there?
Liechtenstein, I think also we checked, it has like
how many people are there? 30,000 people. It is not even a city in Kenya.
It's not even the size of Mulolongo.
Yes.
But the point is, every single person in Liechtenstein has got a job. They're not beggars. They have a social security. They have passports in that entire country. Uko wako tu sawa.
So I'm looking at it from the perspective of a country with a good population of people.
Right.
You get, and a country, of course, which we know of their history, like Cuba, tunawajua.
Yep.
Those are countries tunajua kumekuanga na some historical issues before. So you coming out and telling people that hakuna beggars, hata wewe mwenyewe, you just needed to just call yourself for a meeting and like.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let me read that story kidogo tu haraka tukapitie. Cuba's Minister of Labor and Social Security, Marta Elena Feito Cabrera, has stepped down following a backlash over controversial remarks denying the existence of beggars in the country. The Cuban presidency, in a statement shared on social media on Wednesday, announced that Feito had acknowledged her mistakes and offered her resignation due to what it described as a lack of objectivity and sensitivity in addressing key social issues central to government policy. Her resignation followed public outrage triggered by comments she made during a National Assembly Committee session the day before. Alisema hivyo jana. Leo ameshafanya nini? Amesha resign. So she said this on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, after realizing her mistake, she did what? She stepped down. Here in Kenya lazima watu wende maandamano, watu wakufe ndio mtu wa step aside.
And again hata bado akipelekwa kotini bado anataka ku stick in office first.
Yes.
Yeah, but hii kesi isongeshwe mbele, aendelee ku serve Kenyans. There's also a story here about Naivasha MP Jane Kihara. I think did you see the clips when she was being arrested by a DCI?
Yes.
Anti riot police yesterday, and she was in a meeting by the way with her supporters, and I remember what she said. I want to get the exact words.
All right.
But alisema kwamba hajawahi kanyaga katika majengo ya serikali ya polisi.
Police station.
Yes, like right. in terms of like hajai andikwa katika kile kitabu kile
cha OB.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
I mean it's possible.
Okay, yeah. So akasema okay, and again I remember some of the statements she talked about, like this is a government that we voted for. Angalieni what they are doing to us.
She spoke out.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it relating to what
the Cuban labor minister,
what she did, and this other, like why do we have to start putting in the issues of we voted in for this government while you're being maybe accused of something,
of a crime. Yeah, I mean it depends, because a lot of these politicians will always cry out and say this is political persecution. I'm being attacked because of my stand, maybe, or I'm being attacked because I've called out something in the same government I serve. A very good example is former AG Justin Muturi. Yes, after he left government, he said, look, sasa I tried changing things from where I was.
Now I'm out.
I spoke out from where I was, but watu walikataa kunisikia na ndio maana so there's always a reason. As to, a politician will never lack an answer.
They will always get something attached to persecution because
but
of
also,
their political stand and so forth.
But also it is your right as a citizen, even you as Patricia, if you voted in favor of KK government because you expected services and that, and, you know, everything that comes with it, and then you're disappointed, it is okay to say that, look, I voted for you, or I voted for this governor, and I feel like it has let me down.
Well, whatever she was being arrested for, they said that she failed to report to the DCI over alleged incitement claims for the protests zenye tumekuwa tukiona.
Okay.
Yeah, she's being accused of for that.
Yes.
So okay, yeah, politics by them most of the time
ni norma
na ndio zinafanya we cannot achieve justice on so many other things in our country.
Police apparently account for 40% of all bribes, according to a new survey. Now, rgk.co.ke, that story is by Tanya Wanjiku, yeah? So, a new nationwide survey by Transparency International, Kenya has identified police officers as the most bribery-prone public officials in the country, raising alarm over the extent of corruption in essential public services.
I'm not surprised.
Now, according to the report, which covered 1,033 respondents from 15 counties, the police scored an alarming 84 out of 100 on the bribery index, for surpassing all other sectors. Yeah. Now, the findings indicate that police officers are not only the most likely to solicit bribes, but also contribute the highest share to the national bribery pool. You know, the late Albert Ojwang was initially arrested because he had accused the Deputy Inspector General of Police of being the most corrupt cop, because apparently alikuwa anasema kuna bribes nyingi zina collect yangwa by junior cops na zinapanda up the ranks all the way to the actually to the IG. Even ndivyo jamaa alikuwa anasema. And me, I remember this narrative didn't start with Albert Ojwang.
It has always been there actually.
Me nakumbuka when I was a child, I would hear conversations between adults, and some of those adults were even police officers serving in the area where I was. I had this story whereby ilikuanga ni lazima ufikishe, like you had a quota that you had to reach as a cop. Unaona? So for example, wewe ukipatiwa
nimepewa Ngong Road,
umepatiwa Ngong Road pale City Mortuary roundabout.
Yes.
Umepatiwa target yako, unaambiwa by the end of today, Friday, I need, as your boss, as your superior, I need X amount by the end of the day. How you will get it, it's your problem. So if you arrest drunk drivers, if you arrest reckless drivers, if you arrest watu wenye hawana license, wenye hawana hiki tu inakwanga pambele insurance, hata afadhali uarrest gari chafu, uambie mtu makosa yako ni kuendesha gari chafu, and roadworthy vehicles, hazina lights, hazina tire, you find the way you will make that. So let's say even your budget, or rather your target in a day is 5k. And imagine how many cops are on Ngong Road from Haile Selassie
all the way to Ngong.
Kuna mtu amewasimamia ama kuna watu wamewasimamia. So if each and every, let's even put it randomly at 10 cops. If 10 cops collect 5 Gs each, that is 50k on one major road.
Yes.
Kuna Mombasa Road, kuna
wapi,
kuna Uhuru Highway, kuna hata huko ndani Tawa kina Kenyatta Avenue. Sasa toka hata Nairobi CBD, enda huko sasa kina Umoja, Kayole, nini huko pia kuna ma OCS na ma OCPD, kuna ma base commander. Yeah. Like, and we know this because as Kenyans you've been arrested.
No, we know all these narratives zimekuweko na to some extent some are true.
Right.
Yeah, some are true, like utasikia tu ofisa anakuambia bwana unadhani nitafikisha nini?
There's a time I was arrested.
Unadhani nitafikisha nini? There's a time I was operating a matatu in the route number 4. And I'm telling you the stories your conductors and your drivers will tell you.
Right.
It's quite unfortunate that, and most of the time it's unfortunate that you'll do nothing. You will do nothing. Because it is something that has been there, allegedly has always been there for the longest time. And according to the report, like they were saying yesterday, they were saying like one of the reasons why the rate of that there is in so much in police is because of non-accountability, and especially on major other offenses. Major other offenses that police wana commit, and then unapata tu yeye ameenda tu scot free. So wewe utakuja kumwambia nini hii ya kuchukua kitu kidogo kwa barabara? Wewe unataka kumwambia nini?
It is what it is.
Unataka kumwambia nini?
It is what it is. It is what it is. So I was telling you something. I was arrested up in industry area. Why? I had forgotten my license at home. And huo karaka anambia, "Tio, umesahau license, twende station." Nikamfungulia mlango, nikamwambia ingie, tukaenda because alikuwa ana insist, but nasikia yako ufai kufungulia makarao gari, but I had no problem.
Ukafungua.
Nikamfungulia, tukamwambia twende afande. Tukaenda. Tukafika station akaona hata I'm not offering anything. I'm not telling him shika chai. I'm not getting hakuna kitu nilikuwa nampatia. So when we go to the station akasema so uko ready kulipa 5000 was it cash bill or cash bond or whatever. Nikamwambia mimi sina 1500 lakini tuende tu unipatie ile there's a thing that you write unaenda kotini. Kaambia ndio tu niandikie because mimi nimekwambia siko ubaya. I literally forgot my license. When I go in front of the judge or the magistrate, that is exactly what I'm going to tell him or her. Yeah, and if the magistrate doesn't trust or believe me, then it is what it is. It is what it is. Do you know that cop just let me go? And I told him thank you.
Aliona huyu ashikanishi.
I told him thank you. Nowadays your license inakaanga kwa gari. Sitakangi hiyo mchezo tena.
Well, I like the fact that the department saizi watu wanaweza kuweka watu wanaweza kuangalia the digital license.
Right.
Quite important. Like saizi kama kopa anataka kushika kwa barabara, because that was one of the biggest cash cow ya pesa kwa barabara. You forgot your license.
Right.
Yes. Na nikusahau umesahau like what you're saying. Genuinely kufanya tu not because what is a license actually first of all?
It's a permit for you to drive.
A permit for you to drive. So the fact that the fact that umesahau nyumbani doesn't mean that you're not permitted to drive.
Exactly.
Because you can give your ID and your license can be tracked. Inaweza kupatikana, tunaweza kujua huyu ni mtu fulani. So right now that you can be able to confirm your ID, your passport, you can also confirm your driving license online, is making hiyo kazi inakuwa ngumu pia ya kucollect kitu kidogo.
Right.
Yeah, sisi tunasemanga inakuanga ni salamu. They greet people in the morning. You're going to work. Wewe ni matatu driver. Hapo kwa junction now polisi anakusalimia na kusimamisha kuuliza good morning. Hiyo mkono angalia imeenda na nini. Anyway, we are not here to
we are just pointing out facts. All right, so sorry. Ruto unveils a stadium plan for historic Jacaranda grounds. Yeah, so this is what is happening as far as this story is concerned. Jacaranda grounds in Embakasi East will soon be the site of a modern stadium that is President William Ruto has confirmed, making a major shift for one of Nairobi's most prominent public spaces. Yes, stadiums zinajengwa. I just hope at the end of the day they will also be zitajengwa in a way that they will last for a very long time, because we've seen stadiums especially za huko shago zimechapa yani mpaka tu ukiambiwa hapa kulikuwa na stadium hauamini. The only reason you believe it's a stadium is because kuna nyasi, but the infrastructure down, gone. Viti za kukalia, nothing.
In other places land grabbing, the
shops zinakaa dilapidated, it's like they don't exist. Yeah,
quite unfortunate. Today we have a guest, by the way, who can speak more about sports in our country and the preparedness that Kenya has done so far.
Right. All right, so I want us to do a little bit of traffic before we get into the main stories making headlines in the newspapers. Yeah, let's start wachezea ngoma ya traffic. Nitawaambia tu haraka venye kunakaa. Looking at Nairobi right now, I'm focused on Mombasa Road. That road right now, what we can say is that at 6:33, nothing much to complain about as far as traffic is concerned. Also, if you're on which road is this? Let me just tell you. Got it. If you're on Ngong Road, nothing to complain about at this particular hour. However, gari ni nyingi tena sana. The line is yellowish. That means that you're moving quite slowly, but nonetheless you are moving, and that's the most important part. Haile Selassie Avenue as well, looking good at this particular hour. People are getting into town, also causing very minimal traffic. Kenyatta Avenue as well, inakaa fiti. Sawa. What is happening on your road?
Looking at this road through Isili to town, that is Kariako area, hapo ndo tu kuna traffic and not that much. Jogoo Road, of course, around Nyayo City Stadium, sorry, that's where also I'm seeing a little of congestion. Otherwise, the rest of the road is quite okay. Thika Road, I do not know what usually happens in this road. I'm seeing traffic all the way from Pangani area through Ngara to town. Then in Mombasa, I'm seeing lights Kengeleni kwa sasa pia little congestion hapo. We're expecting that ikifika saa moja things will be quite worse.
All right. So let's get into the newspapers. Nimekupatia Daily Nation. and I think the other one is the Standard. I'm going to start here with the Star newspaper, letting you know what's happening there. Litmus test for Ruto and Raila as key allies defect. This story is on page 4 and 5. On the front page, we can see Baba and the president there. Lakini pia kuna picha ya Babu Owino. Has he defected from ODM? Richard Onyonka, has he also left ODM? Muhammad Ali, jamaa wa UDA, mnamkumbuka jicho pevu. Journalist shupavu sana. UDA, Boni Halwale as well. There's Caleb Amisi of UDA and Seki Olekana of UDA as well. They are rumored to be defecting. I don't know how true that is. For Babu Owino, I never thought I would see a day Babu Owino is mentioned in the same sentence as the word defection. I never thought.
Yes, actually from ODM.
I never thought. Anyway, still on the front page, Ruto's staff remains intact as opposition struggles to unite. That story is on page 8. Alafu pia kuna trailblazer and women's rights champion Phoebe Asio dies at the age of 93. That story is on page 7. Textbook heist, auditor flags about 540 million missing from school's book program. This one we touched on a little bit at the beginning of this week, but that story is on page 8 if at all you are interested. If I open on page 2, declare 2027 pact, Raila and Ruto are urged. So MPs and supporters say formal announcement of the alliance is long overdue. Museme one time kama muko pamoja, mutuambie mmeform alliance. But what kind of alliance would this be? Because what position would Raila or rather President Ruto offer Raila?
Mbona mnaharakisha hiyo process? Why can't you just let these people be?
Fanya hivi, tuseme tumefika 2027. Sawa, tushafika. Elections ni in a few weeks time. What position do you think Ruto would offer Raila?
After you win summer?
No. Going forward, like what coalition are we looking at? Because that means that if Ruto is we know Ruto is definitely going to be on the ballot, right? So now ni position gani atampatia Raila in terms of a coalition? Is it DP? Is it Prime Minister? Is it Prime CS? Is it Speaker of Parliament? Speaker of Senate? Like ni nini? Sasa Baba mnaweza mpatia.
I want to imagine Baba is a running mate to the president William Ruto.
Right. Na Kindiki ataenda wapi sasa professor?
No, sasa si
the good professor ataenda wapi?
Tamu itakuwa imeisha.
Tamu imeisha, lakini
so
kuna kitu uelewi Patricia.
Yes.
Patricia, kuna kitu uelewi. This person has been the deputy president. It's just like Kalonzo. Kalonzo right now, it's either you're offering him a running mate position or the presidential position. Sawa? Hakuna kitu kingine unaofa mtu kama Kalonzo. Huwezi ambia Kalonzo wewe kuja tu ni support, alafu tukishatengeneza serikali nitaona mahali nitakuweka maybe ukwe CS wa kitu chochote.
So from where you're seated right now,
right,
do you think right now as we head again to the elections that Ruto is going to pick the DP
to be Baba?
Yeah. No. The DP, the current DP as a running mate again.
Why not? So far he's doing a fantastic job for him.
Okay, he's doing a good job.
Yes. Not just a good, fantastic job.
Fantastic as you call it.
Yes.
But then, do you think by the time ikifika huko, mimi nakwambia katika hizi siasa zetu za Kenya,
yes,
things will be quite different. By the time tufike huko, hata usishangai kwamba these people wenye unaona wanatembea pamoja ikienda kufika hiyo time, upate hata waongeleshani.
Unataka kuniambia Professor Kithure na Daktari William wanaweza kukosana kiwango cha kukosa kuongeleshana?
Did you expect that the former DP wangekosana naye? Because those people were their marriage was so
no, but from how former DP Gachagua alikuwa anaongea, you could tell hii kitu inaweza lipuka. You know the friends you look at and unasema hawa watakosana. Either one of them will take the other one to prison or the other one atakosana vibaya sana. Yani hiyo base itaisha. Zile base zinakuanga tight, ndio zile base huanga kuja zinaharibika zaidi.
Okay, what I know and what I've seen so far with the issue of the running mates in terms of the presidency, in terms of the governors, most of the time people realize this position, like you were being told yesterday, this position uko tu
kazi yako tu ni kuwa principal
and most of the time watu wanakuja wana realize this is not what I wanted. And that is why unaona wanatoka wanaanza kucampaign and so forth. So I'm yet to see what the current DP is going to unleash before 2027.
I wouldn't be shocked. Okay, fine. There's the possibility of Raila being on the ticket as a DP, right? Because the president is definitely not going to say, okay, now you become president, then I become your DP. Hiyo kidogo itakuwa tricky. But again, this is Kenya. I'm looking at it this way. There's a possibility that Raila will donate a high-ranking ODM official to be President Ruto's running mate. Yes. By donate, I mean he can command any of his lieutenants from Sifuna to Oparanya to who else is in high ranks huko? James Orengo. Yes. Anaweza ambia James Orengo, sasa fanya hivi bro. Hii maneno ya governor,
achana wewe ndio DP.
Sasa wewe nataka uran as DP. Yeah. Any other person that you're seeing
and this thing is going to change that face of UDA, and is it UDA? Kenya Kwanza, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Now, the question is, because if Raila is going to be sako kwa bako with the president, the other question we need to ask ourselves is, atapeleka wapi akina Oparanya? I mean, sorry, si akina Oparanya, akina Kindiki. Atapeleka, because assuming ata Oparanya akwe running mate wa President Ruto, ama any other person, yes, akina Opio Wandai, watu wote akina Mbadi, Junet Mohammed, aambiwe ni aje, my friend, running mate. Now, what happens to these other communities that really supported, because let's not forget that Kenya is, number one, a tribal country. Tribal politics takes center stage. So, and we'll change that politics in another maybe 20.
We are changing that in 2027.
In another 20 or so years.
Not even 20. 2027 we are changing that.
Sawa. So, now what happens to the Luya vote via, not even the Luya vote, sorry, the Luya duo of Mudavadi and Wetangula? Because kumbuka Oparanya akiingia pale, Oparanya ni Mluya. Akiingia pale, what happens?
I tend to believe that is one of the biggest headache that the president has right now, because
for him it is not a headache. Let me tell you.
No, it is headache.
The headache here is for the following individuals. Yes, I mean, I'm not a political analyst, I'm a scientist, but I will just say out of my small evaluation of the situation. The headache right now is for Mudavadi. And I don't know if you are aware, but even his people have already started complaining that Mudavadi has now become more or less useless in this government, for lack of a better word. Okay? Even his own PA has been on blogs complaining.
Yeah.
There is a speaker Wetangula. Huyo kwanza mimi nikakuwa Wetangula saizi. Stress inaweza kuwa yani kila asubuhi nikiamka hivi.
Ni stress.
Nauliza guy, ninahesabu siku zikikaribia 2027 naanza kukulwa stress. Sawa. Now the other person also who needs to be having a headache, of course, ni watu wa Mlima. Akina Kindiki, akina Ishungwa, wote saizi stress. Sawa. Haya. That's just Mungala movie. 2 dead, 10 injured in Nakuru highway crash. Very sad story here coming through on page 3. Witnesses say trailer driver ferrying logs lost control and hit 14-seater matatu. Yeah, very sad indeed. Yeah. Also another sad story. Pioneer female MP from Gusii, Catherine Nyamato, dies at 72. Yeah. Trailblazing politician and pioneer woman MP from Kisii and Nyamira counties, Catherine Nyamato, has died. The MP served from 1997 to 2002 after being nominated by former President Daniel Moi. Nyamato died on Tuesday at her rural home in Borabu sub-county in Nyamira County after collapsing while talking to youths who were building a border shade near her farm. May she rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
All right. So what's happening on your newspaper?
On the Standard, the newspaper, the biggest story there is a ticking time bomb. This is about Wilson Airport, and this is what the story says. In the skies above Nairobi's Wilson Airport, pilots are risking their lives and those of their passengers every single day. What was once routine takeoff and landing is now a high-stakes gamble through a gauntlet of rogue high rises, many built illegally in defiance of flight safety laws. At the heart of this looming disaster is a powerful Northern Kenya politician accused of arm twisting regulators into green lighting unauthorized skyscrapers along critical approach paths. Aircraft are now forced into steep last-minute drops to clear obstacles. One wrong gust of wind and it could end in flames. That story on page 4 and 5. Story is on page 4 and 5.
Okay.
What happened? We have always known that those areas just around an airport, we should not be having those high
structures.
Yes.
Yeah.
High structures, high rising structures. What happened?
Well, urban planning, number 1. Number 2, corruption.
Land grabbing. What's wrong with our country? Like, these are some of the things that are quite just straightforward. Why would you get yourself to this extent?
Unajua kufuata sheria za hii countries inakuanga ngumu sana. Kufuata sheria za Kenya.
Did you hear what
is a tall order?
Part of this statement said?
Yes.
At the heart of this looming disaster is a powerful Northern Kenya politician,
yes,
who is accused of arm twisting regulators into green lighting unauthorized skyscrapers along critical approach paths.
Ndio nimekuambia tena, let's not beat around the bush. It's as simple as corruption, period, full stop. We can call it any other name, we can sugarcoat it, we can put flowers on it, but it will still remain corruption. Yeah.
It's quite unfortunate because now angalia ndege they are being forced to, ni kama they are landing ile like ghafla. You know, as a plane comes to land, of course there's from some
there's
place
an
they
approach.
now there's an approach there, the way they are supposed to come down pole pole, but now hii inabidi unakuja kushuka ukifika katika airport kwenyewe.
It is what it is.
I once flew over Wilson Airport sometimes, and like I felt because of the forest, I really got so much scared. So sasa tunaongeza mambo na manyumba.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Okay, this is our country, Kenya, beautiful as it is. Grade 10 crisis as half of schools miss learners. Out of 9,000 secondary schools to choose from, only 4,250 were selected. A situation officials tagged emergency. Story on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. Kuna mashule hawachaguliwi hata kidogo.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
It's very normal. It also used to happen during the quota system, wakati watu walikuwa wanachaguliwa from all over the country to go to specific schools. Kuna shule za huko Northeastern, watu walikuwa kitwa kwenda Northeastern kama akina Garbatula, people never used to go.
And actually it's a matter of now who is choosing such schools and why are the schools not being chosen. You know, that is the question first people need. Is it because of infrastructure? Is it because of its location? Is it because of the quality of education being offered in such schools?
Sana ni location and quality of education. There are people who are even called to other like provincial schools, like good provincial schools, but they refuse to go. They're like, mimi nilikuwa nataka kwenda Alliance, so find a way to take me to Alliance, daddy.
Because they just need to get into the bottom of the cause of this. Why are these schools not being selected? What is the problem?
So it's about location and because someone in sana watu wa Nairobi ndio wanakuanga na shida. Watu wa Nairobi hawapendi kuchagua shule za wacha niite ushago outside the counties. They don't like going to places like Kakamega, Kisumu. They will not choose a school in Turkana, for example. They will not choose a school in a cold place, Kericho, Bomet, Eldoret. Watu wa Nairobi, by the way, kama hujaijua, they usually choose Nairobi and its environs.
But those are just Nairobians. You know, this country has so many counties.
Yeah, but I'm just giving you an example because I was in Nairobi and I remember while choosing schools, I was choosing zile ziko tu karibu na Nairobi. So I chose Alliance, I chose Nairobi School, I chose Lenana High School. Juu mimi hizo ndizo nilikuwa najua. There's no way I was going to choose a school in Mombasa. Because what am I going to do in Mombasa? It's very hot. I'm not used to that climate. Sita survive. I'm not going to choose Maseno in Kisumu. How? I will not survive. Mosquitoes. Unajua kuna hizo vitu pia tunasikianga about these places, whether true or false, whether mythical or otherwise. Unaambiwa ni aje, si uchague Maseno, unasema wa Maseno vile ni mbali, niko Wajaluo, you know. And unfortunately, even as young children, kuna ile mentality wazazi wako wamekuambia pia, na by the si wewe unachagua. Saa zingine mara mingi ni mzazi anachagulia. So if your parents have something against Luos, trust me, hakuna shule ya Kisumu ama Luo Nyanza itachaguliwa, and that is the unfortunate truth. Wewe leo utachagulia mtoto wako aende Garbatula huko Northern Kenya, after the information you know about Al-Shabaab, the whole issue of just insecurity, unajua kwa hakuna maji, you know, there's some things where mwenyewe tu you're already biased in regards, and yet Garbatula, I think hata ilifungwa. Garbatula was a very nice, it was a national school in the level of Alliance Girls, Alliance Boys. Garbatula ilikuwa tu sawa. But pia I think ilifungwa due to also wanafunzi hawachagui huko. Yet it has a principal, it has teachers. Wewe sasa niambia wataenda wapi? So unfortunately, it is even right now for an adult who wants to choose their university education. There's Mandera University. Who here in Nairobi. Mtu ambaye amelelewa Nairobi his or her entire life atachagua Mandera, and yet it is a university offering courses like any other university. So unapata Mandera, watu watenda Mandera University ni watu wa Northeastern peke yao. So it's those biases that we also need to sort out. However, the problem is with government and how they are funding these places and how they are also marketing these universities. We will always see adverts from University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, billboards, September intake, January intake. So the universities are marketing themselves. Mimi sijaiona hata siku moja hivi advert ya Mandera University. Was it Mandera University or Garissa University?
Garissa University.
I have never seen those adverts. But utaona za UN.
We are hoping that they are going to look for a way to sort this out.
Yes.
Because of course those schools need students. Kama ziko kule na the government has invested in them, they need students.
Let's talk business for a second, yeah. Inside battle to end Joho's port monopoly. So Juba cuts auto port cargo share to 20% from 80%, and court stops building off 6.4 billion grain handling plant. Where? Now, the family of Mining Cabinet Secretary Hassan Joho has suffered a double blow after the High Court accepted a petition challenging their dominance of the business of handling South Sudan's cargo through the Mombasa port. Yani wewe una handle cargo, familia yako ina handle cargo ya an entire country, South Sudan. Family yenu, yani Patricia Wayua, imagine your family is handling everything that goes to Juba.
Hiyo ndo ile pesa ulikuwa unasema in the morning as you are starting the show.
Mad cash.
That is and that is why you see some of these politicians, of course, wako na pesa. They know where they are getting their money from.
If today you were to go and just negotiate with Uganda, uketi hivi na President Yoweri Museveni na umwambie Sebo,
all your goods zinapitia wapi?
You let my company do what? Handle your country, from the oil to the vehicles to everything, flowers, anything you want to bring into Africa or take away from Uganda, I bring it for you, and you only pay me what you have said, Sebo. Whatever you decide, Sebo, you just give me. Ebu tell me kama utakuwa unatembea normal hapa Nairobi.
You know,
that's mad cash.
I want to look at that monopoly aspect. And monopoly in our country makes a lot of business suffer, and also business people suffer so much. So wacha waendelee tupate solution at the end of the day.
According to this story, Justice Peter Mulwa gave the green light to a rival firm, Compact Freight, to seek enforcement of a directive by the South Sudan government that its cargo be handled by 5 firms instead of 2, including Autoport Freight Terminals, which is associated with the Joho family. Aye,
that's quite fair. Quite fair. Anyway, gazeti la Daily Nation
wanasemaje?
Inasema 6 counties get bulk of 3.7 trillion devolution cash. Remittances to the 6 devolved units accounted for more than a quarter of the total exchequer allocations, grants and own source revenues between 2013, when devolution started, and 2024, reflecting the continued high concentration of resources in a small section of the country. Regions' high populations, the primary reason they benefited most. And pale chini tuko na all 47 counties against the 3.734 trillion. Equitable share, of course, 3.141 trillion. On source 403.39 billion. Grants 189.4 billion. Top beneficiaries of this: Nairobi County receiving 305.7 billion, Kiambu 155.4 billion, Nakuru 141.1 billion, Turkana 127.6 billion, Kakamega 126.4 billion, and Mombasa 117.3 billion, a total of 973.5 billion. Mambo ni mengi, and actually looking at how ambao wamepata 3 the bulk of the 3.7 trillion, looking at this is the amount that the country is working with, but ukiangalia these 6 counties wamechukua how much of this money? They've already received 973.5 billion. If you can calculate that fast, like the 3.3, okay, 973.5 billion divided by 3.734 trillion multiplied by 100, you get what percentage is that? Ambao imeendea the only 6 counties peke yake. Yes.
Sasa ngoja kidogo. Tuanze tu vizuri tu. Ati how much billion kwanza ni gani?
973.5 billion.
973.5
billion
divided by
3.734 trillion.
3.74 Sasa inakuja
multiply by 100,
inakuja to 260.
Multiply by 100%. We want to get a percentage of easy count sita peke yake out of this amount we are talking about, 3.7 trillion ambao ni budget ya the whole country.
3.7 trillion.
Yes.
Wewe hujasema vizuri. So 3.7 trillion
Yes. Then you multiply by 100%. You know, this is where now people are saying that these 6 counties are getting the biggest percentage of the devolution cash.
Yes.
That the other day that counties are getting. What do you have to say about it?
I saw parliamentarians, actually senators, not parliamentarians, but senators, walikuwa wakiongea about this particular situation on Wednesday, I think it was. And Boni Halwale was actually saying that there's a huge injustice done as far as just sharing this money is concerned. And he even accused the chairman of the committee, and he said hapo kidogo mume dupe the Kenyans who actually deserve to be getting this particular money. And he asked them to go back, and he was asking now Speaker Kingi to instruct these guys to go back to the drawing board and first of all consider the counties that need some of these monies the most and allocate that money there.
Well, I think they came up with a formula, na hii formula wakakubaliana, this is what we are going to use. So I do not understand where now the problem is coming from. Well, do you remember that push for 1 shilling 1 vote? I think that is the aspect that is coming out of this, because we are saying regions with high populations, they are the primary reason they benefited most, because we are looking at the population in those counties, and that is the reason they are saying they got these high amounts of the money.
So anyway, we sat here with an economist, I think the first week when we started this show. And one thing that he pointed out is that they gave them a blueprint and a formula of how to share these monies and divide them. However, there are some individuals who decided because of their politics, they are going to have their own different formula. And that is why counties are suffering the most. Some of the governors who've actually been elected are not good managers. They are politicians. Na alikuwa naambia wa Kenya itabidi mwache ku elect politicians kwa easy positions. Let them become politicians after they've gotten to the seats. But choose someone who actually knows to manage. Chagua manager, usichague mtu wa kelele, mtu wa mehemehe, mtu akona story hapa nje. Chagua mtu mwenye mnajua huyu manage bank for example, manage insurance company for example. That way you'll actually get good leaders who will manage your funds well. Right now though, it's time for us to get into the news. Winnie Magang, of course, telling us what is trending and what is making headlines in the last couple of hours. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
It's 7 o'clock.
The sound is fine, pump it up, turn it high, all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Police have arrested Kennedy Kalombotole, the main suspect in a fresh murder at Kenyatta National Hospital. The arrest follows the killing of Edward Maingi, a patient who had been admitted to Ward 7B on July 11th and found dead in his hospital bed under disturbing circumstances on July 17th, 2025. The hospital confirmed the incident on Thursday with Chief Executive Officer William Sigilai, saying the patient was discovered lifeless at around 2 p.m. shortly after visiting hours. Kalombotole is currently in custody, pending arraignment. Political and religious leaders are top of the list of individuals and entities being investigated by the government for aiding and abetting banditry in West Pokot County. The revelations were made by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen. Murkomen also raised alarm over the increasing incidences of human cannibalism and organ trafficking in West Pokot. The CS also added that 101 Eritreans were recently arrested in West Pokot for human trafficking and taken to Kagoma for processing.
We have been doing a multi-agency kind of operation to make sure that we round up all the aliens who are operating in our country. But again, this is one area that is a trafficking of persons. Just recently, over 101 Eritreans were got in this county, and finally they were taken to Kakuma for proper processing. So we have human trafficking here, but we have also presence of aliens. That really speaks to the question of the problem of cannibalism that happened in this place. We must give confidence and assurance to the people of Kenya that it's going to be dealt to the very bottom of it, because then people will live in fear. So it's justice for those who have lost their loved ones.
President William Ruto has challenged his competitors to outline the alternative agenda for job creation. The president said inciting the youth to cause chaos and destroy property cannot be alternative to job creation. He said he has a solid plan that is already generating hundreds of thousands of jobs for young people, contrary to his rivals, who he said have no plan. He pointed out that the Climate Works program has created 200,000 jobs nationally, while more than 320,000 are working in affordable housing program.
Sasa ya vita ya kuharibu mali ya wananchi, mimi nataka niwaambie hawa viongozi, we have no time for violence. We have no time for chaos. We have no time for ethnicity. We want to build our country. Anybody who has a plan for Kenya should tell these young people what plan they have for them to have jobs. I have a plan. Let them come with theirs. Tunaelewana, my friends? Tukubaliane jameni, tulinde taifa letu. Katika nchi hii, vijana hawawezi kupata ajira kama kuna fujo. Vijana hawawezi kupata ajira kama kuna vita. Tunataka amani ndio tuweze kupanga mambo ya maendeleo ya taifa letu. Nairobi hoye! Nairobi hoye! Mnasema tuendelee? Mnasema tuendelee? Tuendelee ama tuendelee jamani?
Makueni Governor Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has urged newly confirmed county staff to speak up about any instances of sexual harassment by their seniors. The governor revealed that his office has received anonymous reports on the matter and pledged action. He made the remarks while issuing permanent and pensionable contracts to 216 health workers who have served the county on contract terms for over 3 years.
I will not allow sexual harassment. I will not allow it. For anything. Do not be harassed for anything. Wamesema sexual relations. They have forgotten to say harassment. Hiyo sitakubali. Hiyo sasa we will deal with your unions na koti. Na mimi si ati niko na shida ya kwenda kotini.
Kenyan Marathon World Record holder Ruth Chepngetich has been provisionally suspended by the Athletics Integrity Unit. This follows a positive test on a banned diuretic and masking agent in a urine sample dated 14th March 2025. Chepngetich made history at the Chicago Marathon, clocking a world record of 2 hours, 9 minutes and 56 seconds, becoming the first woman to run under 2 minutes, 10 seconds. The AIU confirmed the unit issued a notice of charge and imposed the provisional suspension. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Oh yes, indeed. This is Radio Generation. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and I'm with Patricia. This is the People's Breakfast, Patricia. Conversations that are shaping the nation definitely happening on this particular platform.
Sure.
And some of the most important ones are the ones that touch on the future of this country, and we cannot talk about this country without necessarily talking about the youth. So today in studio with us we do have Meshach Kiprotich. He is the KANU National Youth Leader, and we want to understand the perspective of KANU. KANU is a party that has been there since the inception of this country.
Independence, actually.
Yes.
And it stayed. It led this country for the longest time.
Right.
Actually, up to until the earliest of 1990s.
Actually, no, until when President Moi left office. That was in the year 2002. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
no, I meant like the only party.
Yes. Or for a very long time that Kenyans knew.
Up to until that time. Now they reintroduced the multi-partyism in the early 90s. Then mpaka pale akatoka kwenye kiti.
Kabisa. So Meshach Kiprotich, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me, Mungala.
Karibu tena sana.
Thank you.
Let's get down to business and talk about KANU. KANU for a while now has been very quiet. We hardly see a lot of do I say vibe or stories or conversations coming from that end on matters national politics. I don't know what's up. Ama mumekuwa overshadowed by DCP and UDA and ODM and Wiper.
Thank you so much for that question, Mungala.
Karibu.
It is true to your words that KANU is a party rich in history. Of course, we are a country that had rule of this country for the longest time, and it is in 2002 that President Daniel Moi gave power to the late President Mwai Kibaki. And since then, we've had members of parliament, we've had senators, we've had representation in many quarters of the country's rule. And true to your words is that KANU has not been on the limelight per se on matters national politics.
Right.
And of course, considering where we are as in the political space, more so in a country where we are at crossroads currently, it is in such silence that people get to strategize on what they actually need to do for their people.
All right.
We have learned from the mistakes of those who have led after we gave out power. We have learned from the mistakes of Mwai Kibaki. We have learned from the mistakes of Uhuru Kenyatta. And currently, the biggest mistake, William Samoei Ruto,
Right.
who is now, who has taken this country to a place where we need to actually talk and have a critical conversation about where we want to head as a country. Kenya African National Union is currently a party that is mobilizing or whipping the youth to take over leadership positions within political parties. It is true that the young people are yearning for systems that work. We have seen since last year, that is June 25th, where the people said,
Right.
we must actually now have a conversation about how these people we elect to represent us actually represent us in these very quarters of the parliament. We have seen the young people get angry because of systems that actually don't work to their favor.
Right.
We have seen weaponization of the criminal justice system. The streets are currently whispering the names of the people who have been abducted, people taken in unmarked cars, never charged, never booked, just silenced. People who actually we have also had cases where we actually get cases of extrajudicial killings. And I'm talking this morning not as an enemy of the state, but as a loyal citizen,
Right.
and a young person whose pain mirrors that of many other young people in Kenya.
Right.
It is I want to equally share my profound disappointments with the current regime, because Martin Luther King reminds us that we cannot afford to be silent. When Martin Luther King says our lives begin to end when we become silent about the things that matter.
Okay.
There comes a time when silence is betrayal. We cannot afford to be silent as the youth when people of our generation are being killed,
Right.
abducted, and their only mistake is daring to speak the truth, daring to demand a better Kenya. This is not
yeah.
just unlawful, this is evil and state terror.
Kiprotich, I'll point out something, and far be it from me to blame you for the atrocities of the past, but KANU as a party, also having been led by President Moi at one point, was also accused of similar atrocities, abductions and killings, and I'm sure you know the history. So someone would argue that KANU right now doesn't even have the moral authority, because even some of the people who are at the helm, such as Gideon Moi, him being the son of President Moi, shares part of that blame, because KANU for the longest time, having been led by that strongman and many other people, including Biwott and others I'm forgetting right now, were responsible for abductions during their time. They were responsible for killings during their time. What would you say about that right now? And I'm aware that right now the leadership, especially from the youth, is different from that one that was there at that particular point. But are these things you've actually even confronted the current leadership about, so that when you come to a platform like this one, you're coming with more or less clean hands?
This is quite a topic that I get most of the times when I go to interviews. Does KANU have the moral authority to talk about this?
Right.
And I want to equally share that I'll not hold brief for President Moi. Neither will I hold brief for Biwott, because these are atrocities that were committed way back when the late President Moi was in power. But you must also recognize that it is in this leadership. Can we look at the whole leadership of KANU then? There was a time when the current president, William Ruto, was director of elections in the same party, KANU. There was a time when Raila Amolo Odinga was secretary general in this same party, KANU. There was a time when Kalonzo Musyoka was the organizing secretary of this same party,
All right.
KANU. So if we are talking about having moral authority to talk about this, today I sit here as a person representing KANU, a political party. Myself, I was not born when such things were happening, and so I come here with clean hands, having recognized that these are some of the things that weakened the systems then, or these are some of the things that the people in leadership then observed or preserved maybe for political reasons or maybe for any other reasons per se. But these are the same people that we are actually condemning today. That is why we continue to say such things happening even in the country currently. And by the way, we must judge the leadership then with their constitution.
Okay.
By then, I don't know if you are aware that there was detention without trial with the then constitution.
Right.
But today in the current constitution, you cannot detain without trial. You must actually write. There are some documentation that needs to be taken before someone is arrested.
Sure.
But today we have a good constitution, a constitution that Article 1 of the constitution says all sovereign power belongs to the people.
Yeah.
And people now in leadership positions have actually neglected that and weaponized the criminal justice system. I mean, Mungala and Trisia this morning,
Right.
we are all aware that the police have been brutal to Kenyans for the last 2 years. We have seen police actually kill. We have videos. I mean, just recently we had a case of Albert Ojwang,
Right.
someone who was killed in police custody, or someone who was killed in the hands of the police. The mandate and responsibility of the police is to protect Kenyans and their properties.
Okay.
And it is actually wicked when I see such things happening in the same hands of the people who have this mandate and responsibility. The police came out and did a press briefing and told us that Albert Ojwang hit his head on the wall. Something that does not even make any sense to at least to our minds. We have seen the Ministry of Interior say shoot to kill. We have seen members of parliament, others even chairing superior positions like that committee of defense, say shoot to kill. The president himself has come out and say shoot these people at the legs. Man, if we are even talking about dark eras,
Right.
will you still call Nyayo a dark era, or this same regime is the dark era?
Meshach, we have not heard your party leader say anything. At least we've seen other party leaders coming out and condemning what has been happening, and especially about the protest. Why is the party leader in your KANU silent about this?
Gideon Moi is a person who has been a senator since 2013 to 2022. And it is from 2022 where he decided to play low key on or rather not being that outside there in matters to do with governance, national politics. But Gideon Moi has continued talked through his platforms. He has continued to talk on his social media platforms. He himself has not come out maybe to hold a press or maybe to talk on national TV. But Gideon Moi actually has condemned these same things happening in the country, and it started even last year during the Gen Z protest, where the young people were saying, reject finance bill. Gideon Moi came all outside and said, we cannot continue to tear gas people, or rather even abduct or kill people who are exercising their constitutional rights. It is in Article 33 and Article 37 of the Constitution that the people people are given power to exercise right to protest, right to riot. And Gideon Moi came outside, and you can even check on his social media platforms.
Well, I want to understand, why is it not so loud like we can hear from the other opposition leaders?
These same opposition leaders, and I want us to actually talk about what the problem is.
Right.
There is one thing that we are failing to see here, because some people cannot play saint when such things are happening. Gideon Moi is a person, and I'll actually not hold brief for him, because I'm actually going to tell him to come to this very studio one of these days.
Okay.
Some of these people are part of the problem that we've had. Talking about someone like Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua was in power for 2 years. It is after the 25th of June last year that Rigathi Gachagua decided to become controversial, or rather call out the government when he was still in power. So are we sure if these persons are actually the rightful people to take leadership, or they are just here for vengeful reasons? And opposition leaders have quite been vocal about this. But then I equally have my own problems, or the youth perspective have their own problems about the opposition youth leaders.
Yes.
Because it is in such systems that we've seen the young people call for political reforms. Which political party is bold enough to say now the youth have to take over leadership in political parties? And that is what KANU has learnt. Since when KANU got out of power, KANU has learned that now it is time for another generation to take over political leadership.
Okay.
And that is why me today, as a young person, is actually sitting here today and talking about issues to do with KANU.
Okay.
Something that not any other political party can do. We have seen other political parties embrace people they call youthful leaders.
All right.
And yet these people are not actually between the age of 18 to 35. So it is in these very, very systems that we continue to ask for political reforms. And political reforms come from the smallest part of political structures and even to the highest point. And I mean, today when you look at the structure of this very, very political party, KANU, our executive director is a young person. All our directors in the office are young people. We are actually even calling upon young people to continue join KANU so that we can continue to embrace the same spirit of youth leadership.
I like the fact that you've owned the mistakes of the past on behalf of your party, even though you were not even there when they were being orchestrated. Now, fast forward to 2027. What plan does KANU have for the leadership of this country? Are we going to see a presidential candidate from KANU? Are we going to see KANU being back prominently as far as national dialogue conversations are concerned? We'd like to see more of, because if you're going to, if KANU as a party is going to ask for leadership in 2027, in whichever cadre of leadership, whether it's MCA, woman rep, and MP, senator, governor, president, we need to see them now talking about issues that matter to Kenyans. Yeah, I hope this is the start of it. Today we're going to be talking about the youth and youth leadership and the things that are plaguing the youth. Is KANU going to be active going forward, or it's just one of those times mnatokezea RGK, then the next time mnaonekana after 6 months?
KANU is actually going to be part and parcel of the conversation shaping governance in this country. It is something that has already kick-started, and we are actually going to be part and parcel of the conversation on the governance of this country. We are one of the political parties that we have realized that we need sober leadership for this country. We need people who are capable enough to take over leadership and take this country to where it is supposed to be. KANU is actually going to have candidates at all levels, and yours truly speaking here today is going to be a senatorial candidate for Kericho County.
Congrats.
And we have, as a young person also in this country, we are also going to start a movement called Occupy Political Parties, because all changes are system made. If we are yearning, or we are dreaming of changing leadership of this country, it is through political parties that we can actually do that. And I'm saying this today because chances are very minimal that a president who is going to be elected in 2027 is not from a political party. Of course, he or she will be in a political party. And so we are starting a conversation as the youth, not as KANU, as the youth, that we should occupy political parties.
All right.
KANU is going to have candidates, as I have said, at all levels of governance, starting from MCAs, MPs, senators, women reps, governors. We are going to have candidates at all levels, and that is what is going to form basis of taking this country to the right trajectory.
You are saying something that is quite interesting, that you're not speaking as KANU. You're saying that as youths, you are going to take positions in these political parties, and it is actually a problem that we have been seeing with the Gen Zs. As they get to the streets, they have been saying that they are partyless. they are tribeless, they are leaderless, all those words. So, and we've been asking ourselves, because they are saying they are leaderless, they are partyless, they are all what and what. What happens because they want to get into leadership, but wanasema hawana party, hawana nini. So we've been wondering, how are these people getting? And actually, you are answering our worry.
Yeah. It is actually true that Gen Zs came with their own way of asking for reforms, and some of these reforms came out because of movement.
True.
And this is actually something that we've seen even in history. During independence, fighting for independence, there are actually people who collaborated, and the movement then was asking for that we must actually fight the white people. So one of the things that I don't agree with is that we are partyless. Just as I said before, all changes are systems made. Changes of governance, more so in the political space, are driven with political systems. Political parties play a key role in these very political systems, and that is why today we are asking that IBC should consider now starting to register people as voters, because the young people need to take votes, because all this anger we see in the social media are they need to be turned into political relevance, they need to be turned into political numbers, they need to be turned into political power. And it is with these numbers that we should also consider occupying political parties. These political parties are the same machines that have taken people to power. These political parties are the same machines that come up with slogans to whip people and to sell a narrative so that they can get positions of power. Political parties have only one role, and this role is to seize state power. Political parties will continue to seek state power in all means possible, and if Gen Zs or the youth want to change political systems, it is only through political parties. And today I'm continuing to say that we should always consider joining political parties, because these are the same systems that are going to propel us to power. If Gen Zs are considering, not even Gen Zs alone, the youth in general, consider taking positions to shape governance of this country, because I can tell you for sure, if we do not talk about members of parliament, members of parliament are still part of the problem we have. And I'm saying this as a member of parliament who is going to vie in Kericho County. Last year we saw young people saying reject finance bill, but these people went ahead and passed finance bill. So they should also consider vying for political positions so that finance bill cannot be pushed on our throats. So political parties will play a key role in making some of us get to occupy parliament, not as activists, but now as members of parliament.
Do you think today, if we had a representation in the National Assembly, if we had a representation of different parties, unlike what we saw, what we have right now? Currently, I think if you look at the representations that we have in parliament, you see the coalitions like the UDA 145, you see ODM 86, and I tend to believe these numbers influence decision making actually at the House. So do you think it would be a good approach, like for the young people right now, if you're planning to get into power, you get in with different parties? Because I know if we have 10 members from KANU, we have 10 members from ODM, we have 10 members from, if the number at least is balanced and we have different representations of parties, I think it is hard to be compromised. What is your take on that?
My take on that is we should, first off, during elections, we should vote in people based on agenda, based on ideas.
That is the first step.
Not based on political parties. That is the first step. And immediately we have these people at parliamentary level. It is good that we speak the truth. These people should make decisions not based on political parties. They should make sober decisions and decisions that actually reflect that of the people they represent. You have given me a number of parliamentarians, more so from the ruling side and the then opposition, which has now gotten to something called broad-based government. These numbers, we have seen some of the UDA parliamentary members oppose government business agenda in parliament, and we have seen some ODM members support government business in parliament.
But a majority.
Yeah, but now I'm saying, when it comes to what matters to the people, we must actually make a sober decisions, not decisions based on the political parties we come from. And I'm saying this because I know one day I'm going to sit in parliament. We should make decisions that or create policies that actually positively affect the people we represent. You know, Article 1 of the Constitution says people can actually exercise power through their democratically elected leaders, and it is through this trust that people get you to go represent them in parliament. So I will not vote for people getting to parliament through different political parties. I mean, you can, as I've said before, political parties are machines that actually propel you to power.
Yes.
You can use any machine to get to power, but make sure that when immediately you're in power, you actually serve the people.
What is the big, because we sat here with another leader here, and one thing that he pointed out was the fact that the young people do not have the experience needed to propel some very, very proper, much needed leadership in this country. They do not have the spine. Actually, I think that is the word that he used. And specifically when we come to the Gen Zs, a lot of talk has been going around that, the Gen Zs are very lazy. The Gen Zs are very temperamental. The Gen Z hawataki kusikia mtu yoyote, and so on and so forth. How then are we going to address some of these issues if we have all these young people taking up positions within parties, asking for leadership positions through the ballot, and actually getting these particular positions? If you get elected, for instance, you know, you speak very well, you go and you convince the people of Kericho to actually give you that opportunity to represent them at the Senate. What do you think you will provide on the table that is going to change the mindset, especially of the older generation, that is looking at young people as people who have either lost it or they think they know it all?
First off, what you're saying has actually been a talk of the street.
Right.
That young people, more so the Gen Zs, lack inexperience in matters to do with governance and leadership.
Right.
But how do we just neglect the fact that these are the same people who made cabinet to be reshuffled, or rather even banned cabinet secretaries to be sacked from cabinet positions,
then reappointed?
These are these are some of the things that no other generation could have done or have done in the past.
Okay.
Gen Zs, through what we are calling their inexperience, have actually called out the government in all means and all ways possible on what they have now taken to be operationalized. The same Gen Zs are the same people calling for political reforms. In fact, in this country right now, there's no bigger opposition that we can see apart from the youth.
Right.
Immediately something is taken to parliament, you'll hear the young people actually do a follow-up, a keen follow-up, and a key breakdown of what is being taken to parliament, and actually tell the people if some of these bills are actually controversial or actually good to the people. The same Gen Zs are the same people who occupied parliament last year because of arrogance by members of parliament. These same Gen Zs are the same people who are yearning to now occupy parliament as members of parliament. So when we say they are inexperienced, at least we can give them the point that they are right in what they do. We have seen people say, Gen Zs, continue with what you're doing.
Okay.
You are actually the people who are going to change this country, and it is true. that these are the same people who are going to change this country.
On the point of anger, temperament, and wanting things now. I'm looking for that word.
Microwave. Microwave things.
Wanataka vitu zifanyike sahi, even if there are things that will need to take time. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah, and actually I think we sat here with Jeremiah Kioni, the Secretary General of Jubilee, and he said that the youth might not even understand the inner workings of deep state. So assuming you get into Senate, yeah, and we're wishing you all the best. If tomorrow, or in 2027, we elect you as a senator for Kericho, and you get in there and then you realize kwa ground vitu ni tofauti, what happens? You realize that there are ways that things work. You went in there thinking that you're going to revolutionize things and change things, only to get there and then Mr. Speaker tells you, my friend, hebu kwanza kuja huku kwa chambers nikwambie kitu. What happens then?
It is actually true on what you're saying, and this is something that I'll consider serious, because it comes from someone who has been in political spaces for quite some time.
Right.
But I want to tell you today that rationalization and the incessant search for scapegoats are some of the psychological cataracts that actually blind us with the truth. If we continue selling what I'll term as imaginary opinions to the people who are yearning to change, to bring political reforms in this country, that will now turn into an attempt to actually sell fear or to sell controversial narratives to these same people. I want to say here today that it is important that we stick not only to business but then to the truth.
Okay.
Parliament is a house of representatives.
True.
You are sent there to represent the people. So the people are all the only thing people want is representation. And it is through parliamentary process that we get policies or then changes, because the work of the parliament is not only to legislate but also oversight. Immediately I become Senate, and I want to thank you for wishing me all the best. First thing you should consider is what are some of the things facing your people. I know we of course come from different dynamical places. We don't share problems, because Kericho is a place of tea farmers. You must actually realize what are some of the things that challenge or negatively face your people. And it is through parliamentary process that you can now pass or amend bills that directly affect the people. Gen Zs, myself as a Gen Z, if tomorrow the people of Kericho say we cannot elect you because you're inexperienced, at least I'll be saying the truth. And even the Bible, Jesus tells us that you shall speak the truth and the truth shall set you free. A narrative of the deep state, or some of the of figures that have gone into deep structures of governmental business, has been a conversation for quite some time. And I even think during 2022 elections, you remember the then deputy president, now president, saying, talking of the existence of the deep state.
Yes.
And we could hear things like, they have the deep state, but we have God and the people on our side. And this same deep state, I don't know of its existence.
Okay.
And I'll today ask this: who is the deep state? Is it actually people? Is it actually people who sit in places of political reforms, or in deep political structures? Who is the deep state? And call them by name.
According to Secretary General of Jubilee, Honorable Kioni, he said that deep state is not at an office or a door or someone you will call Kiprotich and be like, hey, Kiprotich, deep state, how are you doing? He said that it exists and it is there. I want to do the traffic. Then when we return, of course, the conversation continues and we'll pick it up from deep state. Yeah. All right. So here we go.
Traffic.
Looking at Westlands area, traffic is moving quite well. It is now 38 minutes past 7 o'clock, 22 to the top of the hour. No complaints coming from that road. However, the one place that I'll need to highlight is Thika Superhighway. Sasa Thika Superhighway hapa hivi, wacha niwaambie mali traffic imeanzia. Traffic imeanzia pale KCA University, actually survey, and it is stretching all the way past Muthaiga, past Pangani, and also joining traffic from Kiambu Road kutoka pale DCI onto Thika Superhighway. That is where you guys are complaining. Ring Road, Ngara na kule sehemu za Juja Road as well, also there, bumper to bumper, but it's a very small stretch, about 5 minutes delay.
I mean, this is Ngong Road as usual. Pale junction ukikuja ukifika Prestige, ukija pia Community, as you get to town I'm seeing naona tu red, but a good thing kuna some parts ambapo tuko na yellow ambapo inamaanisha kwamba it's moving slowly, lakini ukienda upande wa Jogoo Road also around a City Stadium pia naona a lot of red there, and of course the rest of the road I'm seeing some parts ni greens, zingine pia ni yellowish, meaning kuna traffic but moving. Then we go to, which side is this? This is Mombasa Road. Basically red sana iko pale Bunyala Road. I can see around Nyayo Stadium, that is where I'm seeing a lot of red. Other roads like which road is this? This is at Westlands pia. Naona pia kuna a lot of traffic as you head to town. All the way to Mombasa pia, things not so good at Lights Kengeleni area. That is all the way from VOK. Ukipita mpaka Lights Kengeleni pale, things are not quite clear.
All right, let's get back to the conversation, and things are getting moto here in studio, sijui kama mnasikiza.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, so we're just having a conversation here, and things have taken a very interesting turn. Yeah, so I'm seated with Mesha Kiprotich, is the KANU National Youth Leader, and the conversation we are having here is about the deep state. We started off talking about KANU and its positioning as far as the national dialogue conversation is concerned on matters affecting politics and the youth, but it quickly spiraled to the deep state. And like I was just telling you, a lot of these older leaders who are no longer considered youth now are saying, and we asked Kioni here yesterday about what the opposition is currently offering that they haven't offered us before. We have the likes of Kalonzo, we have Matiang'i, we have Eugene Wamalwa, and we have Martha Karua, and right now we have new entrants into the game, Maraga, and we have Okiya Mtata, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure others will come up as time goes by. We are expecting maybe Wajakoya will give it a second shot. And that is where the whole conversation of the deep state came from, because we asked him, you guys are giving us the same guys, you're recycling leaders, can you give us someone different, someone fresh, someone new? And he said that leadership wants someone who's done it before. We cannot just pick Patricia because she's been a very good radio presenter and she's known all over Kenya, and we give her that position. She might not excel at leadership. What do you think he meant by that? I picked out, because that's where the conversation of deep state came in. And he said, we need someone who needs to understand the inner workings of government, how the judiciary works and how legislature works and how the executive works, so that they can be able to leverage on that knowledge to steer the country forward. So I'm hoping that we get youthful leaders for sure, but I'm afraid also that if what Kioni said is true, then we might get people who at the end of the day will be like, ikitu menishinda. I don't know. Are we on the same page on that?
We are actually almost not on the same page, but I'll say for sure that it depends with government structures. A structure like judiciary needs professionals. It needs people who have the intellectual capacity to hold positions within judiciary. But unlike now legislature, where we can actually have any person sitting at the legislative level, we don't have educational requirements that you need to have studied political science or have studied something to actually get to represent people at the legislative level. And I'll actually agree with the Secretary General Jubilee that running government needs a deeper understanding of governmental structures. But if the people we've had before are actually people who understood governmental structures, then why are we facing these same problems we continue to talk of? And yet these people are the same people who call themselves experienced people in governmental spaces. And we've actually seen problems that we face. Number one as a country is the problem of corruption, where we elect people, go represent us, but then these same people get into the business of looting public money, large-scale looting of public money.
Maybe it's because they understand the deep state too well.
So
Actually-
what I actually get as deep state to you are these same people who share ideas of corruption.
Yes.
Because corruption has been a topic since inception. Now we are talking about extrajudicial killings. Now we are talking about state terror, disappearances, silencing of dissent. Now is that what we now call experience? Because for sure Ruto learned this from somewhere. And if these are the same experiences, so how are we going to change Kenya in 2027 if we don't get someone who can actually stand on business and say this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing?
Okay.
Someone who can actually respect the powers of the constitution and the penal codes.
Well, first of all, let me cut you short. I want to understand because yesterday there's a report by Transparency International about corruption, and actually the young people were quoted as the highest who are being involved in corruption, actually bribing their way into positions, bribing their, like, they were quoted by there as the leading the young people in terms of corruption. That is according to a report yesterday by Transparency International. I want to maybe understand, do you mean that the young people, the youth, are corrupt free? Is that what you're saying? The old generation, they were corrupt?
An issue of being corrupt, Tricia, is a choice, and choices are personal. It will be wrong for me to say that the young people are saint, or all the young people are saint, because I'm saying this because there are people who have actually embraced corruption as part of governance structures. People who have actually seen getting into political positions as now an opportunity to go look for extra money to serve selfish interests. And talking about the report on transparency, and I'm actually hearing it from you today, that young people are being targeted, or rather being mentioned on bribing their way through what they're
bribes,
bribing,
especially kutafuta kazi.
Yeah.
So many. It was yesterday on the TV.
and it is so unfortunate because now this has now been made something that this is something that has gotten into our working systems, and this is not only in politics. I'm sure you've seen traffic police officers somewhere receiving bribes so that they can not actually check your car. This is something that has actually been seen, and it is so unfortunate.
It is in the report. Actually, they are leading the police.
Yeah, the police are leading, not actually the young people.
No, okay, I'm talking the people who are involved, and especially the young people in, when you break it down. The
Yeah.
police, of course, they led. Then now, when you break it down, the young people are mostly in these corruption, bribe things. And I think because of the age and what they need.
I'll actually blame systems failure. And I'm
Systems,
saying
yeah.
that because
Yeah.
this is something that has now been seen as a normal thing to be done. I mean, seeing someone give a traffic police officer bribe money is not something that you'll easily call out in public. You see, it is not something that you'll actually even get to talk of, because these are some of the things that have been made systems.
Okay.
These are something that has been embraced by the systems, and it is actually true that we now the change does not now come from these very, very people that hold bribes.
Okay.
Change comes from who gets to change these systems, because we now have to come up with policies that actually condemn these very acts.
Do you agree that the young people, as they get into power, at least you need a section of this old generation that you're saying they need to go? We cannot just have every other leader in our country being a youthful person. Do you agree?
Even the constitution states that someone to be eligible to vie for president is someone above the age of 35.
Yes.
So it is of course something for sure that someone who is going to be president
Right.
is not a youth, because
Okay.
a youth is only 35, 18 to 35. But they cannot form part and parcel, or rather they cannot make decisions, or rather something they call mentorship to us, because they've been experienced. I mean, we look at and even for these people who want to vie for presidential positions, we are actually going detail into your past. We want to see what did you do when you had a position, the opportunity to serve. What did you do for your people?
Kutoka kuwa prefect shule.
In fact tunaenda mpaka huko Sunday
High
school.
Meshak, the ODM leader, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, said that we need an intergenerational conclave where we discuss issues that are affecting the youth and just issues that are of national importance. And I think he came up with this particular situation because he saw the problems that we are facing. Kenyans are going to the streets, and every time they are dying. Others are making some very radical suggestions about going to occupy parliament and occupy state house in an unconstitutional way. So he said, for us to take care of all this pain, can we have an intergenerational conclave? What's your take?
My take is the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is someone who has been known, or who has an history of actually being part and parcel of governance structures since way back, since when he was member of parliament, Langata, prime minister, and these dialogues are things that have been there. Just recently we had the NADCO committee. Has anything come out of that NADCO?
The 10-point agenda.
The 10-point agenda, what has been done about? You see, president after last year called for a multi-sectoral dialogue after the Gen Z protests.
Right.
I mean, did anything come out of that? Even the president came to an express and talk and had a conversation with the youth. Has anything been changed? I mean, we continue to see the same even getting worse of those very, very, very problems. So intergenerational dialogue by Right Honorable Raila Odinga is not something that I'm going to wholly support, because it is we judge things based on history.
Okay.
We judge people based on their history.
You said wholly support. Does it mean that there's a part of that conversation that you might be willing to support?
Yeah, of course there is part of the conversation that I'm willing to support, because now if the conversation is going to be how can we occupy political parties, I'm going to be part and parcel of that conversation.
Okay.
How are we going to whip the young people to go take votes so that they can vote in 2027? It is part of the things that I'll be willing to be part of. But then calling the young people to talk about demonstration is not something that I'm going to be
Actually,
part of.
somebody was accusing that call. I mean, was terming that call as part of distraction, trying to distract the young people from the goal.
From their course.
Buying time.
Yes, to buy time. What is your take on that? Why do you think the Honorable Raila Amolo called for that dialogue?
I don't really know why he called for that dialogue, and I cannot make my own opinion based on that dialogue. But then buying time to 2027 or what? Buying time towards what is the motive? What is the end goal of this very, very intergenerational dialogue? So this is the same person who has joined broad-based government. This is the same person who was cabinet secretary, is coming from his own political party, ODM. So the young people have come out clear on the reforms they need in political systems.
So then what is the way forward? Because we cannot have Kenyans going to the streets and dying. We cannot continue having Kenyans abducted from their homes, parents stripped from their children, and children stripped from their parents. So what is the way forward? Because if today mna plan to organize maandamano next week or next month or even next year, rest assured we're going to have abductions, we're going to have people dead.
What is the way forward? Way forward is political organization. because these are political process. What we know where we want to be, but then to get where we want to be is actually procedural. We must have a conversation step by step towards that very, very end goal. And just as I've said here, according to me, the first step is joining political parties.
Okay.
Because these are the same systems that are going to propel us to those seats to those seats that can actually now propel change.
Okay.
Or that can now sell our agenda as the youth.
Right now, we have a... Sorry? You want to finish?
Yeah. I'm landing. Another thing is political mobilization.
Okay.
And registering as voters. Because I can tell you for sure, we are not going to change leadership through the streets. We are not going to remove Ruto out of the office through the streets. The only way Ruto must go is through the ballot.
Okay.
I think a lot of opposition leaders, they have come out showing their displeasure, showing they do not have faith in the IEBC, the newly formed IEBC commission so far. And of course, most of them have accused the elections of Kenya to be always rigged, not fair. You, as the young people, do you believe that the IEBC is going to ensure that there is free, fair and credible elections in our country?
The IEBC has a responsibility and mandate to deliver free, fair and credible elections to Kenyans. And this is something also that we can go back to history. We have had cases where IEBC has been accused of delivering or actually compromising electoral processes. And we actually saw it in 2007. One of the things that actually took this country to one of its dark eras. We actually saw the death of an ICT manager in the same IEBC. Even last 2020, after 2022 election, we had narratives of open the server. The elections was not fair. These are some of the narratives that have continued to be after every election. And these are some of the things that we can also not escape. These are some of the things that will continue being said. But as the young people, we must now recognize that we have an IEBC in place. Rigging an election is not an easy thing. Rigging an election is something that, of course, it's unlawful to rig elections. This is a suffocation of our democratic values. But then, I also want to bring you to the fact that we have an IEBC in place, and they have a mandate of delivering free, fair and credible elections to the citizenry. And so, I want to say that it is important that we exercise our electoral rights. It is important that we actually go and vote, because if we part of the reasons why we get bad leaders in political positions is because of good people who refuse to vote. We must form part and parcel of the people who are actually going to change political personnel in our governance structures. And so I want to say that I believe that IEBC with a good margin, of course with a good margin of votes, you are not going to rig an election. So all the 14 we saw numbers being displayed of the people who are now eligible to vote, and we have 14 million young people who can actually vote. Tricia, can you tell me this morning that today, if all young people decide to vote for you, and I go for another maybe 2 million people to vote for me as president, and you are voted in by 14 million, how am I going to rig that? It is almost impossible.
It's quite impossible.
So we must actually exercise our democratic right, because we have the good numbers to actually change the people in political positions.
Meshach, we have 1 minute to the end of the show. What is your parting shot to the youth, and what message does KANU have for Kenya?
My message to the youth this morning is that it is true that we we are angry, and we are disappointed with the current status quo, and it is actually now within our means that we are actually going to change this very, very narrative. It is true that we have been a target of the state through weaponization of criminal justice systems, that we have also lost some of the people of our generation to the hands of the oppressor. And injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We cannot continue, or we will not be silent when the people of our generation are being oppressed. We must always call upon the people of our generation to actually make a step towards changing the systems. And KANU, as a political party today, tells young people that join ye and form a movement within political parties, that you can actually be part of the national governmental conversation. And the only way we can move this country forward is through industrialization, not overtaxation.
Thank you so much, Meshach. That is Meshach Kiprotich. He's the KANU National Youth Leader, a conversation that we have been waiting to have here with the young people, and definitely more young people coming through to hold this particular brief. However, now though, let's get into the news with Winnie Maganga.
Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. 2 people, including a 7-year-old boy, have been killed after a trailer collided with a matatu along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway. At least 10 other people sustained serious injuries. The accident, according to eyewitnesses, involved a PSV vehicle and a trailer loaded which was ferrying logs. The trailer reportedly lost control and rammed into a 14-seater matatu.
Kwa sababu ajali imefanyika saa 11 ikielekea saa 12. Kweli kabisa. How many hours inachukua our government of Nakuru County kukuja kutusaidia kuinua hiyo trailer tuweze kutoa yule mama ambaye alikuwa amefinyiwa pale ndani. Huyo mama hana anything. Mimi mwenyewe personally nimembeba, hana anything. Wenye kutengeneza hii barabara, mimi niko na swali kwenu. Hii barabara mlianza kutengeneza lini? How long is it going to take for you to finish this road? Ama mnataka maafa iendelee kufanyika ndio muelewe ya kuwa tuko na uchungu?
Kutoka hapo Ngata Gate all the way mpaka Ngata Bridge. Hakuna stage.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has issued a stern warning to illegal miners in Turkana and West Pokot counties, saying their days are numbered. He instructed the relevant security agencies to arrest those engaging in commercial mining, despite the activity being halted over lack of necessary licenses. Murkomen also stressed that the government will only get its share if the sector is properly regulated. Miners without license are required to have right documents, says the CS.
There is a lot of illegal mining in this area of our border of West Pokot and Turkana, including Kambikarai, Laminyeusi area and those places, and some parts also of Kacheliba. We want to make sure that this is a sector that is properly organized so that it can benefit the people. The Mining Act has a provision of how to help every person who does mining, what is the local community going to get. But if you do this kind of illegal mining that is going on, the local community is not going to get anything. We want to make sure that it is organized.
Former DCI officer Tiberius Ekisa took to the stand at Milimani Law Courts to testify in connection with the fatal shooting of Rex Masai during the anti-government protest. Ekisa, who was overseeing security operations in Nairobi CBD at the time, gave a detailed account of the investigation, citing intelligence on plans to disrupt Parliament, efforts to trace the shooting scene, and challenges such as uncooperative businesses and offline police cameras, he denied issuing any shoot-to-kill orders.
I said my officers. I took my officers from Central, my officers from Central. I have an office, a DCI office at Kamkunji. I have a DCI office at Parliament. So I took a few officers from Central and Kamkunji to beef up security at Parliament.
So you didn't make this request to anyone? That's
my area of jurisdiction.
A section of MPs from Mount Kenya region are demanding for thorough investigations into the chaos that led to loss of lives and destruction of property. According to the MPs, the sponsors and orchestrators must be unmasked. The over 40 MPs under the banner of the Mount Kenya Parliamentary Caucus pointed fingers at reckless, selfish politics for the mayhem, singling out targeted attacks on key economic facilities in the region. The lawmakers spoke after meeting in Naivasha.
For goodness sake, why would anyone incite the burning of enterprises that employ our people, our youth and our women and our men and feed our families? Such heinous sabotage only tears down our own house and our own future. We demand thorough investigations into the chaos that led to the loss of lives and destruction of property. Those directly responsible for the violence must be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Israel has demolished thousands of buildings across Gaza since it withdrew from a ceasefire with Hamas in March, with entire towns and suburbs, once home to tens of thousands of people, leveled in the past few weeks. Satellite images show a massive amounts of destruction in several areas, which Israel's military command claims to have under operational control. Large swathes of it has been caused by planned demolitions, both to already damaged buildings and ones that appear largely intact. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The sound is fine, pump it up, turn it high, all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam on.
Yes, indeed, Radio G has got your jam all day. This is Radio Generation. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. I'm with my co-host Patricia Wayua in the studio. But most importantly, we do have Mheshimiwa all the way from Isili North. That is Ahmed Kadar Dabar Mohammed. Welcome to the show, sir, and of course we're very esteemed to have you here to talk about these very important issues that have been plaguing the nation. But most importantly, let's just talk about Isili for a minute, because you've just been giving me some very interesting, what are they called, statistics about that area, and I am blown out of my mind. That small area we call Isili, yes, makes about, or rather has a turnover of about 3 to 4 billion in a single day.
Yes, thank you so much for the host.
Yes.
My name is Dabar Ahmed Kadar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Isili is a city within city.
Right.
The economy of Isili is equivalent, like some countries, I don't want to mention it, but is a city within a city, which has more than 100 malls. The biggest mall in Eastern Central Africa, the largest single-scale trades, shops, restaurants, hotels, transport. Actually, the CBD of East Africa now is Isili. It's no longer about the CBD of Kenya.
Yeah.
It's about the CBD of East Africa.
Of East Africa.
Yes. Because people come for market Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, up to Congo, because there's a attire Congo dress,
right,
mostly being produced in Isili. Yes.
And he has told me that foreign exchange alone, it was foreign exchange
most
alone
banks,
is over $1 billion.
Yes, it's the only place in the country that has more than 30 banks in the country.
30 banks with, because I go to Isili almost every week. I have things I go and do there, and I cannot imagine that every time I get in there and get out, because it takes me a few hours just to traverse Isili, and I cannot imagine that in those few hours that I am there and out, Isili has turned over almost $1 billion just in a few hours, and by the end of the day, we're talking about between anything from 3 to 4 billion.
I once lived in Isili area 4, by the way.
Okay.
Sometimes back, and I tell you, I could stay like for even 2 months without coming to town, because
everything is there.
Everything is there. Everything is.
He has said
yeah.
30 banks.
So would you please tell us, Mheshimiwa, what is the secret? What is the secret?
It's about commitment and honesty.
Wow.
Nothing. It's commitment and honesty. Because business is all about trust.
Right.
Because there's trust between China, there's trust between Dubai, there's trust between Thailand and Turkey and all and international countries that produce largest production. There's a local trust that if you go there, you can get everything.
Yes.
So if you don't, for example, if you know there's certain thing you need, so you say I can get it there or I can get there. So for your heart, you say, let me go there because that's place sure.
Yeah.
And then you come and you get it.
Right.
Automatically, the trust will increase.
Yeah.
But if you come and you don't get it, the trust will go down.
All right.
So it's commitment and honesty and delivery.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got my curtains from there, by the way. Wanakuanga na curtains poa sana.
Hata mimi juzi nimenunua duvet,
Yes.
nimenunua carpet from there actually.
Right.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Dabar, I saw you made a video during the proposed, protest that, the youths were having against the government. And MCAs in general just spoke out and they said that they are not part and parcel of this whole hooliganism that is in Nairobi. And they just want to see people conducting their business very well, and you are very outspoken as far as that is concerned. What prompted you to make this video?
Okay, I was elected in the central business district of Eastleigh, the commercial area. Eastleigh is sections. There's the residential part section, and there's a commercial center. I was elected in the commercial center. The people Eastleigh who are making business, they don't have any business with politics. They don't have any business with politics.
Okay.
So, and every day, every hour, every minute, an expense bell is ringing, because there's a rent expenses, there's operational expense. They cannot afford an hour to close because it's an economic loss to them, an economic loss to the country, because that's where everything is being determined in the country and the region. A client came from all the way to Congo. He came to Nairobi, spent money, spent his leave, slept in a hotel. He want to take his goods. If he come, it closed, and maybe he has his time calculation. Maybe he had a flight back. So you totally mess him. So I would say, let people exercise their democratic right, but let them not also violate other people's right. Because I cannot fight for my right, then I violate your right. Your right is yours, is okay. Do your right, but don't violate mine. So I encourage young people. There is a lot of avenues to give out their grievance, but don't bring the grievance to the business place.
Yeah.
And some politicians tried to insult it to gain political gain
mileage.
The people obviously they don't have any political interest. They don't have any. Their political interest is business. It's to open, to sell.
Yeah.
And to satisfy his country economy.
Do you think from where you sit, whatever youths have been agitating for is something that can be done?
Yeah, what youth are agitating for, it's something that can be done. It is only political people who have an interest that have converted the agenda of the youth.
Okay.
Basically, but what the youth are saying, some of it has been addressed, and some can be addressed, and that's why I'm very happy His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga said, let us have a candid conversation. That is how things being addressed in everywhere in the world. People talk. When we talk, solutions come. But if I go to street, what am I doing? For example, you looted certain supermarket, so and so. That supermarket has employed more than 100 youth. So have you gained or lost? You lost.
You've lost.
Yes. So, for example, you came and violated in Eastleigh. Eastleigh has employed more than 30,000 youth in the small scale retail, only in the shops, because we have 24,200 shops in all the malls. 24,200 shops. Every shop, 2 to 3 people have been
employed.
So if you want, what is your grievance of the youth? Most is job. So you are agitating youth to get a job. At the same time, you are making youth lose the job.
You're banning their shops.
Yes. So if you loot the shop, if you destroy the shop, you are making another youth unemployed.
Okay.
What about abductions?
I totally disagree with abduction. Because one of the prime thing we elected on President William Ruto is to end abduction. and he promised us, and he promised us again. He said that abduction is going to end, and we want it to be implemented to the latter. In totality, we disagree. Abduction, it is unfair. If a person did wrong thing, we have laws, we have constitution, we have courts. If a person should be arraigned in court. If he has done an offense, should be charged, but rather than losing a person.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about sports now. The African Nations Championships starting on the 2nd of August. I don't know, are you excited about it? Which teams are you supporting?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm supporting Harambee Stars, Kenya, and I want to also take this opportunity to thank Kenyans for electing the right leadership in Kenyan Football
Right.
Kenya Federation. You know, if you make correct at the top, everything will be correct to the down. And you can see Kenya, the last time they hosted a tournament was 1989 All African Games. They bid for Chan in 2004, they failed. They bid for 2018, they failed. They bid again 2024, almost nearly to fail, but alhamdulillah we succeeded.
And now we are co-hosting it.
Yes, and it is not an easy matter. Let me tell you, my friend, it's not an easy matter. Billions of money is being spent. It is a detailed thing, from logistic, from traffic, from security, from transport, from hotel, from hospital, from hospitality. There is a lot of detailed thing. There's a lot of boxes being ticked. People who are just hearing, finally it is being succeed. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Kenyan government led by the President, His Excellency William Ruto, the Cabinet Secretary, the President of Football Kenya Federation, a young man, a man who has been in the game for the last 20 years in the sport extreme, Hussein Mohammed. He came and he delivered it. Actually, it will be a life experience, and it will be, I don't know how I can say it. You can understand how sports unites people, how football unites people. If you can see the world superpower president in a football match, you can understand the importance of that game. And as a Kenya, if you're hosting it in Kenya, and you know, it's something which will bring economic a value to the country,
right,
as well as also global respect and status to the country. Because I believe if we succeed Chan and we succeed AFCON, that will not be the end. We will going to host all regionals and continental tournament, because most of these tournaments goes to Morocco, Egypt, and South Africa and Tunisia, because they have provided the facilities. So if we succeed, we provide all the facilities. We finish Nyayo, because after the Chan we'll go Nyayo will be renovated, will be closed. Then we finish Talanta, then we put a world class. There's a program with the President of Federation is negotiating with the FIFA. They're going to put a 25,000 seater in Mombasa. We're expecting Kisumu to get a stadium. We're expecting also to get Kinoru to be completed, uplifted to international standard and a CAF standard, and Eldoret Kipchoge Kino. If we succeed to get 8 stadiums, then we can automatic host all these events. Because we must also aim. Now we are co-hosting with our neighbors countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. We're going to bid for Kenya only.
All right.
Because Kenya is the 4th or 3rd country in terms of all the boxes they tick, except the stadiums.
Okay.
We have the best hotels. We have the best airport. We have the best. We have the best infrastructure. We have the best hospital. We have the best Kenyan people. You know, the Kenyan citizens are very welcoming people, very generous people, very people who can welcome the guests and show them hospitality. Kenya is a global tourist country. So if Kenya is hosting such events, people will enjoy it and come back, because when the biddings are being made, there is a demand. Who can bring the people?
In terms of our preparedness, and we're seeing so far so good, and that's an amazing thing. But if we compare ourselves, and unfortunately, we have to compare ourselves. Just recently, the United States hosted the FIFA Club World Cup, and we saw the pomp and color that came with that. We saw President Trump with the president of FIFA Infantino at the stadium, and you could tell that this was well organized, and it looked really well. The officials in the US did their homework very well, and they presented an amazing tournament. Now, coming back to Africa, South Africa hosted the World Cup, I think it was in 2010, and they also did a good job as far as that is concerned. Now, coming back here to Kenya, you've mentioned the infrastructure. Why has it taken us so long? Yet we've had successful ministries of sports and ministers and CSs of sport, and they have held these positions. Yet we come back to our stadiums and they look what they looked pre what we are seeing right now. What has been ailing our sports ministry for a very long time?
Thank you, brother. I've told you in my conversation, it is about the top every time. Because these things is not easy as you think. It needs a serious commitment. President William Ruto has repeated several times that I am personally committed to make sure that we succeed CHAN and AFCON. And I am telling you, this tournament has different levels. The big animal in the room is African Cup of Nations in 2027, and this CHAN, we fail even to host regional tournament. Leave about even CHAN is an African tournament, even regional tournament, because there was no commitment in previous regimes. There was no commitment totally at all, because you can understand all the stadium were stalled. Wote was told, Kipchego Kione was told, Kinoru was told, Kasarani was told, Nyayo was told. Imagine we reach a place where Kenyan team Harambee Stars was playing home matches in Uganda and Malawi. Just a Malawi, which is is equivalent to like the economy of Isili is hosting Harambee Stars matches. That was the lowest moment we have gone as a country.
Right.
And to me as a sport administrator and a sport person, I'm really, really very proud of President William Ruto, and that's why I said, give the devil his credit. Don't always criticize on the negative. Look also the positive side, because he committing those stadiums. Do you know daily there's a preparation of CHAN.
Right.
Not weekly, daily. As I'm speaking to you, there's 3 meetings going on CHAN. One in Nyayo, one in Weston, and another one in Kasarani. Daily, about security, about logistics, about the stewards, about the immigrations people, how they're going to be facilitated in the airport. You see, I was personally, and the LOC members, we went to America for the FIFA Club World Cup last week. I was there, and you can't compare. Those are two different worlds.
Yeah.
The preparation, the stadium, the fans attending, security, the hospitality, the traffic from the hotel you move to the stadium. It's something another level.
Well organized.
Very organized. And Qatar has did it. But that's the level of a World Cup. We come to AFCON. Morocco is doing it now. And also they're on top notch. They did it before. One thing I can assure you. For the first time in Kenya, for the first time, we have a stadium that has a seat number. Seat has a number. You take your ticket, you have a seat, number 27, row number 11, gate C, number 21A. For the first time. For the first time that these fans will go to get hospitality. In every row, there is a shop, there is a drinks, there is a food, there is a water, everything. For the first time, fans will going to get a serious parking. The story of crisis of parking, no.
You want to tell me that I can drive my car there?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're going to launch it in the CAF ticketing. You buy for parking ticket, you buy for parking match, ticket match and ticket parking. You come, you provide your ticket, you'll go. For the first time that we're going to have a 3-level of security, because we want the Kenyan fans and the guests of Africa to enjoy the hospitality of CHAN. So those things have never come from from heaven.
Yeah.
People have done it. It's about commitment.
Right.
Okay, still on what is hailing maybe the sports industry in our country, we have had so many initiatives like the Talanta Hela. We have had other sports initiatives in our country, but now the problem is we hear youth say that hizi vitu wanazionanga tu kwa TV. Like, what is it? I mean, because as we talk of preparedness in terms of structures and everything, also now the people and our teams, we also want to see something being done on our teams.
What you don't
and the
know,
people.
what you do, I told you, and I'm repeating it again. It's about the head. It's not about. It's about the head. Initially, what used to happen? The sport fund used to fund non-sporting things. Non-sporting things beyond zero was funded by sport fund, and some sectors education, some sectors some donations. President William Ruto said enough is enough. All the sport fund should deal with only sport. Is the only head of state was committed sport fund to sport, and you can see what it's doing, because now Talanta is going on. By December will be completed. It is the only football pitch in the country. Football pitch. All other stadiums are running football pitch and running terrace. But Talanta is only football pitch. It's same like Benabao. Because the goalpost and the fan, there is no difference. So in Kenya is a powerhouse of athletes. You know it globally. Kenya is a powerhouse of athletes.
Right.
But the money was not committed. Kenya is again a powerhouse of rugby, because we have reached even up to World Cup level. So if we commit the sport fund the way President William Ruto did now, and we continue implementing the sport fund to sport only, as a country we will be top in sporting. Talanta Hela is funded by sport fund. It was never done before. It was this government which started under the former CS Babu Namamba, but it was a proposal done by the current Football Kenya Federation, Mr. Hussein Mohamed, who did that proposal and work in it. We're going to have a 290 constituency Mashinani tournament. So if we combine the Chapadimba and Safaricom, we combine with the Talanta Hela program, and we combine the under 12 under 13 tournament of Kenyans searching talent for Sekafa and tournament and CAF, because for the first time Kenya successfully we have qualified for FIFA World Cup for under 17 the girls. We were in South America. We qualified for African Cup of Nations under 20, the first time in history. In Egypt, we are expecting also to qualify for under 17. So if we did the right planning and the right commitment, the way the president did and this government did it, is you leave the sport fund for sport.
Okay.
Kenyan sport will completely change.
You've said we leave the money for sports to go to sports, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Now, the leadership of sports as well has had issues in the past, yeah, and in this way, mostly the people who are involved in sports are young people. Unfortunately, the leadership of that particular industry has always been the old individuals. Now, of course, we respect the old people because they have more wisdom, they have more experience as far as just the industry itself is concerned. But now when it comes to the people who need to drive to make things work, we have little or very, or actually sometimes even non-existent youth representation in the leadership. I don't know what's your opinion on that. It's just recently that we had Hussein Mohamed and we had Mariga getting into that particular space. But when you look at the larger picture, you know, sorry, Wanyama, if you look at the larger picture, you will see very little youth representation.
I think you don't have the right data. You need to go back to do the data.
All right.
For the first time, we have a Congress that 80% is youth. For the first time, 80% of the Congress of FKF is youth. You go back to the election of FKF. The chairman of Meru is a youth. The chairman for Isiolo is a youth. The chairman for Garissa is youth. The chairman for Embu is youth. The chairman for Kisumu is youth. The chairman for Kakamega is youth. The chairman for in Nandi is youth. The chairman for Kajiado is youth. The chairman for Machakos is youth. The majority of the Congress and
you've said 80%.
80% for the first time, because initially in the chairman, the outgoing chairman for Garissa was 60 years old.
Right.
The chairman
was 60?
60 years old.
Okay.
Who was in the federation for the last 38 years. The newly elected chairman of Garissa is 28 years old. Who's working in Garissa County. The chairman for Wajir is 27 years old.
Okay.
Abdi Nasir. The outgoing chairman for Wajir is also 56 years old. So even in these circle elections that the federation had and the arrangement, most of the people who have been elected are youth in that structure. And even if you elect 100% youth, or even if you elect 100% old, the bar stop at the top. If the top is correct, everything will be correct. That is the top of the country, that is the commander-in-chief, and the top of the federation. If those two top are correct, then things can be done. Because all these things involve in budget, involve with money, involve with commitment, involve in government. Because government even commitment is not only money. The government commitment is about a lot of stages. There is money, there is security, there is planning, there is logistic, there is hospitality. So there is a detailed minor things, which are some of things you can discuss in a radio station. There is a lot of things involved in planning that event, because there is a detailed event security. Because we want also Kenyans and the guests who are coming to have a maximum security and maximum hospitality for those matches. We don't want we want as much as we can to avoid any incident to happen.
Well, critics have been pointing out or highlighting the issue of conflict of interest, like having politicians in these, like on the FKF. What do you have to say about that?
You know, it depends on which interest. For example, a sport administrator is a sport administrator. Whether you go to politics, whether you don't go to politics, it depends which roles you are playing in. Because some of football is completely no politicians interfered. In fact, even last game of Gambia and Kenya, people just wanted to incite on a political platform. But football doesn't have. Even you don't allow to carry some flags from outside, from political stand, be it parties of locally or internationally. You understand? But the people who are in football supporters or industry or administrators, they don't have any political bias on it.
Okay, yeah, because people are looking at, like, for example, you are on that board and they are like, okay, because we have known Kenya for politicizing almost everything, our politicians for politicizing almost everything in our country. So that is, I think that is a fear of the critics are pointing out, with the issue of conflict of interest of politicians being in this board.
No, there is no conflict of interest, because we have the president of Uganda, who is the member of parliament. We have Honorable Nakuru David Gikaria, who is in the sport administration. We have the MCA for Kiambu, who's in the Kiambu branch. We have Vihiga. We have so many branches which have in political people. But if you look background of them, they are sport administrators. For example, me. Let me start with me. I was in football administration for the last 25 years. So there is no way I was in politics first priority. It's football first priority, because I'm in football industry. I was elected in football administration 2020. I'm serving my second term as a NEC member, so I'll not contest again. It's a 2-term. First term, second term, I'm finishing it. In career, I did it. So many people who understand the game. Whether they're in another management, because for example you brought on Mariga, he understands the game. So by virtue Mariga was in the pitch and he invited in Kibra, you don't tell me he cannot bring the expertise to the game. Yes,
he can bring it.
Yes, you bring people maybe on politics, they are maybe looking for means to get it, or to get an income. Those are the people, or to get it a popularity. Those are people maybe they can convince. For example, do you know football Kenya Federation? There's no salary. Even to the president, to the even NEC members, to the chairmen, it is a voluntary. How many people can do that?
But there are allowances, right?
Yeah, allowances for the sitting. For example, as a NEC member in the whole year, you sit 4 meetings.
4 meetings.
4 meetings
in a year.
Yes, in a year. That even is in the constitution. So do you want to tell me 4 meetings in the year can help me sustain me? Yes, it can't. Even it cannot live about me. It can't even help anybody. It's about the passion.
Yes.
It's about the passion. It's about the commitment. It's about what you have in the game changing. Like for me, it was a dream over time to making sure that we succeed. Kenyan dream to host such a tournament, CHAN and AFCON.
Yeah.
And if I'm in the part and parcel that make sure that those dreams come true, it's something forever I'll be glad.
Yeah, you've been in the football industry. You've said for the last 25 years. Yeah, what do you think makes other countries' football more successful in terms of just the market itself? And we'll go to the most popular one, which is England, the EPL. It's a very lucrative tournament, and people, and even when they're playing here in Kenya, they're always looking to play for Arsenal or Liverpool or Manchester and all other clubs that are top there. What do you think has made them successful, apart from the fact that they've done it for a very long time and they have succeeded? They've gone through all the ropes, all the challenges, and they've overcome them. And the reason I'm asking this is because even when you look at the salaries that footballers are paid here in Kenya, they're not comparable. Forget even EPL. They're not even comparable to what footballers are getting in a place like South Africa. So what do we need to do to get to those levels?
You have even gone too far to South Africa, even Tanzania.
They pay better than Kenya.
Yeah, as a radio presenter, you can do your research. The reason why the English football Premier League or the England Premier League has become much successful, it is because of the government investment. It's about the government commitment to that league, because the first drive is start with the top. If the government is committed, because is supporting the game, supporting the sport, and supporting the government is not only, I told you, about the funding only. Funding is one, then there's a lot of aspect followed by. If the government committed, because even the sponsors are there, it's not that they are not there. It is only they want value for their money.
Right.
If they can, you can provide all avenues, that security, logistics, everything, and the Kenyan funds are coming to the stadium, then the sponsors will be there. So automatic, the car start with the
government,
then the federation, then little down there to down. So the English league has been invested much. That's why they are today. The biggest economy in UK is the league, because it contributes the biggest share to the UK government. But before, it is UK government invested. Now they are getting back what they invested. Is now they are getting the fruit. In America, you had the Donald Trump president who saying the other week that he's going to change soccer to football. US, after they hosted 1992 World Cup, is the time they start investing in football so much. They start investing in football because they hosted the best successful World Cup. So if I hope that if you host CHAN and AFCON, that even after President William Ruto leave the government, even those government that are going to come, they'll make sure that they commit to sport. Because if we commit to sport, not only football, even to rugby and athletics, where we are in powerhouse, I'm sure economically it will bring value to the country, and it will bring even to a good status to the country.
Yeah. And in terms of, you've said rightfully that the government needs to invest.
Yes.
Now, are we seeing that now, apart from the fact that we are seeing the president saying that all funds should go to sports? Fine, that is a good thing. But are we having even more allocations to ensure that we have more development? For example, for upcoming talent, identifying, scouts going out to identify and, say Patricia is good in particular sport, maybe volleyball. Are we seeing even support in those particular structures that we say are fundamental or foundational?
Yeah, the government is committed 100%. It's not even joking about this thing, because apart from the sport fund, you see the stadium for Talanta is 45 billion Kenyan shilling, and it started last year, and you expecting this year to be completed on December. So that means that the money that sport fund they have is about 15 billion shilling.
Yes.
So the stadium only for Talanta is 45 billion. So that means already there is 30 billion above than what sport fund has. Secondly, is Kasarani has costed 3 billion. Nyayo is costing about roughly like that. I'm not sure. All this, even Kasarani, I'm estimating. There is ongoing in Bukungu, the police training, Ulinzi, Kiringiti. I've told you there's a detailed thing which is being done. So the government, the money they put there is way up. I've told you no government has ever committed that money.
Right.
Since Kenya got independence. It was the last time we built a stadium was 40 years ago. So that means we only built one stadium, we finish, we go to another stadium. Now this government is doing concurrently several projects in the sport industry. Same applies to Talanta. Last year we had the Talanta Hela tournament from grassroots to final. Now this year it will start again we expect it to start again in September. Chabadimba will start in August. So we expect also these the chance to be hosted. There's a bidding fee. With Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania need to pay. It's about 1.5 billion, 1.5. Already Kenya has paid that money. So you can see the level of commitment they are in.
Well, I'm looking at this stadium called City Stadium along Jogoo Road. Why is it neglected?
Joy Kadenge Stadium. It's not being neglected. Actually, it's no longer City Stadium. It's Joy Kadenge Stadium.
Yeah.
Yes. Joy Kadenge Stadium already is complete in the turf arena, in the playing surface. Complete. You can go in now if you live here. It's complete. It was supposed to be open by Nairobi County government, is the one which did. It was supposed to be open by Governor Sakaja. Then the Kenyan Football Kenya Federation requested from the Nairobi County government so that Gor Mahia matches can be held there, and Woodley to be held in AFC, those derbies matches to be City Stadium initially was Gor home matches, home ground. So we wanted Woodley not Woodley Kangemi to be AFC home matches, and City Stadium where there is a derby you can go to Talanta and Kasarani. So we requested to be done by sittings infrastructure. So the president committed that he'll do it. So there's a contractor which has come back to site. Now they're going to do the seat like Dandora Stadium. So I'm expecting by end of this year to be open.
Or they will open it. Yes.
Playing surface is complete finished.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
matches can be held there
and
today.
this side of the road, the current structure, also the work was supposed to be done, is finished. So what is remaining is the remaining round structure.
Yeah, because it looks doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
You have
When you
not gone
pass
inside.
by, yes.
You have not gone inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I challenge you to go it.
to go inside. Well, and another question around you, because I know you're committed to sports and sporting activities, and I know Isili is one of the places that we have good talents. The young people there are talented. Want just to understand, why is it that maybe there's no a facility, a good maybe playing ground for football in Isili?
Isili, they have a playing ground. I told you there is a two Isili. There is a residential part and there is a commercial
The
part.
business one, yeah.
There is the residential part, the section 1. There is a field. You can go eat today evening. Over
What's the name of
6,000
the-
fans every day. Actually, the people still love the game so much. If you go it, you will see it.
You've seen
I
2,000
personally
fans.
host every year a tournament called the Bar Tournament. I started way back 5 years ago. Before I was elected. I'm going the 5th edition to do in this December. So I always do the long holiday, November to December. So
You said it has a capacity of 2,000
no, 6,000.
or 6,000.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in section 1.
Section 1.
Yes. Then we have a small stadium in the schools. You can understand Isili is very developed commercial place.
Yeah.
We cannot get that playing
Vast
field,
land,
but
okay.
we have also built another tough stadium in California. It's another one in California. It's called Desa Ground, which has the president opened it and the governor of Nairobi. So you can go to California, you'll see it's called Desa Ground. Actually, we were watching the FIFA Club World Cup final last week, and they put every structure, the turf, the dressing room. You can see it. The youth plays every day. There's another one which is going to be done in the budget for Nairobi County renovation of Kamkunji Ground. There was a small issue. The Kamkunji Ground is under the national government, Kenya National Museum Department. So there's a governmental approvals so that the county cannot do national government facility land. So the area member of parliament are here. So I'm expecting also this budget to be done to the Kamkunji ground to be renovated. If you see Kamkunji and the Isili section 1, Isili section 3, that's the place whereby tournament happen concurrently. Actually, as I'm speaking to you, there's a tournament that is going on today. If you go to Isili primary, you will see the crowd.
I was looking at a stadium, that's a big stadium. That is what I was looking at.
Where is the land?
Like the one you're saying now, Kamukunji. If you get to
sport in Nairobi, I'm sure by close of even by close of this regime, that Nairobi will going to have enough stadium facilities for small pitches, 3,000, 2,000, 5,000. Then there's a big stadium. So Nairobi will not going to have challenge, because also this regime, I have put a lot of contribution to make sure that Governor Sakaja committed to sport, and you have done it. Sakaja Super Cup, you have seen it. How many stadiums is doing it? No any other county governors did it before. He's doing 5 projects at a go concurrently going on. Yes.
In terms of a blueprint, because every other leadership talks about leaving something that even when you have started, say something that has projected for the next 20, 30 or even up to 50 years.
Exactly. Yes. Good question. Let me start with the personal and the national executive. I represent a region. In the region I come from, there was no active league. Actually, there was even one of the reasons that made me even to run for that seat. I was born and brought up in Garissa. So one of the reasons that the Garissa and Wajir and Mandera was supposed to be for Motown, and I prayed up to the regional level, up to Div 1. Tana River was locked out for not playing in the active leagues. So it was very painful that Garissa and Wajir and Mandera are no longer in the leagues. So I had called the stakeholders and the football family. I said, enough is enough. Even if there is no money, even if there is no budget, let us go back to our own pocket. Let our referees do some volunteers. If referee was supposed to be paid 1,000 shilling, I had a meeting with the stakeholders, starting with the referees, the coaches and the players. I said, referees, these are your brothers. Commit yourself. If there is no money, the government is not putting money. Let us, if the referee was supposed to earn 2,000, just earn 500 shilling. If you can get 4 matches in a day and you earn 500 shilling, it's 2,000 shilling. Instead of you expecting to get 2,000 times 4 matches, 8,000. Better than if there is no game. 4 matches, 8,000. Better than if there is no game. If there's no game, it's a 0 earn. So if you put 4 games, there's 2,000 shilling.
Yeah.
And they accepted the logic. Today, Garissa is playing league, OJ is playing league, Mandera is playing. I can give you the website. You can check it. You can see the fixtures of tomorrow. For the first time, it has never happened before. But people are fearing who can do it. The problem of some things needed, I told you, to commitment, is that yes, it can. That's my slogan with the Obama kid. It's possible. It's only that you did the commitment. In the national level, we had the president about his interview 2 days ago, that the blueprint, we have even done the blueprint up to 2030. We will not be in the office in 2030. I will leave the office in the next year. I'll go into retire and see how things being done in the game. But I have put the blueprint. For example, there was a center of excellence which was closed in the Football Kenya Federation. We have written the FIFA proposal. They have accepted. We want the center of excellence to be returned back. We have agreed with the Minister of Mvurya and the Kenyan government that we share the Kenya School of Academy. We share it, center of excellence to be there. All the best players we selected from the school games, and we select from the under 13 tournament.
Right.
We brought them and we fully funded their schools. So you brought the kid, his full scholarship. If he's in secondary, he'll go to these national schools in Nairobi, Stare, Mangu, all that. The kid will go to school and will do the training concurrently. So that if sometimes the sport, you may go up, go down. So if you don't succeed, you can go with your career of education. So we put the blueprint that to make sure that by 2030, Kenya has to have a team in World Cup. How can you that? The people going to play that World Cup are the people who are now age of 8, 9, 10 and 12 years. The German team that won 2014 World Cup in Brazil was formed in 2004. 2002 when they lost the World Cup, they prepared the center of excellence. The team that was formed together, the Semi Khedira, Mario Götze, the team that won that World Cup 2014,
right,
was in together 13 U15, U17, U20 to the national team. So we have put the structures. We have approved in our first NEC meeting. Our second NEC meeting we have approved, so we are waiting the third NEC meeting, which will going to happen in September. We do quarterly meeting. So September we got the response for Lance's process, the title deed. We have deposited to FIFA. We are expecting for the first time FIFA president has not come to Kenya. He came to Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia. He never came to Kenya. He want to come and launch that project in Machakos.
The groundbreaking.
Yes. And they are doing the final paperwork.
Okay.
I'm expecting the blueprint. We put it up to 2030. We submitted. FIFA has to look it, and they have said it's okay.
Okay.
So there's some details which I can't explain because I'm not carrying the document. But as far as I'm sure that if, because Hussein is new to the office, maybe he'll be there up to 2028.
Yes.
Maybe you'll go even up to 2032, because if Kenyans re-elect him, he perform. I'm expecting that by that time he's leaving, that Kenya is going to have a competitive teams for both boys and girls in all levels, 8 categories. And you see, for the first time, this under 20, to me, I have a very belief this under 20 that went to AFCON will going to shine even in 2027 AFCON Kenya. The one who were in Egypt last 2 months ago.
Okay.
So generally the future is bright.
Okay.
Let us hope and trust the process. Let us trust this regime and this National Executive Committee, the plan they have for the country. We have done mess before, but we will not count before.
Okay.
We will
look at the future
and look future.
Okay. I'm interested to understand what are some of the policies that you are putting in place to restore hope to the sports people in our country, because we have seen that watu wanacheza, amekuwa kwa club, amecheza inakuja nafika 35 years, huyu mtu has got nothing else to do. They go back kule mitaani kwenda kufundisha, kutrain kule, ambapo it is only now the parents of the kids who are playing ambao wanawatolea shilingi 200 and so forth.
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you, all this involves on planning.
Okay.
And FKF has a departmental. There's a youth department, there's a technical department, there's a referee department, there's a departments. Those departments worked by secretariat. There's a fully employed secretariat that are being paid salary by FIFA. Those secretariat, they have the structure up to the grassroots level. Even one of the challenges we have even was about selection of players in the grassroots level, because people are being selected in the city.
Yeah.
And you see Kibeti is not from the city, and Nani Olunga is not from the city, Nani is not from the city. So many players who have been to that level. So we these school games that's going on now, even there's a pool of department for technical has provided people who go to assess the players. It's called agent, and they supervise. They come with a report. As I'm speaking to you, there is a very tough player who's playing, I don't know which school. He has scored more than 21 goals. I had it already. Nairobi United, which is in Premier League, have signed him. Nobody knew him. He came from Kakamega Homeboys. I don't know his name, but I forgot it. Nairobi United have already picked him.
Right.
So in these school games, there are several players who are going to be picked. So by virtue that from school to Nairobi United, a club in Premier League, you can understand the level of disconnect that was there. So I'm expecting in this administration, because this is the first year, setting up the administration, setting up the secretariat. Kenya already, it was not in the public that Kenya was already even had an issue with FIFA, even in accounts, issue in even some things were locked. So now even reopening those relationship and putting things into order itself need time. So in the last 6 months, those are the things and paperwork. The president was left, right, center. The newly Football Kenya Federation President Hussein Mohamed, who was coordinating with the CAF and FIFA, and he did a wonderful work as for today. I'm expecting that one thing that will going to give me that peace to sleep, that the right leadership is in the top. I expect Kenyans will see the result. They're going to re-elect him, and even after him, let us elect people material like him.
Okay.
People who can deliver for the country.
For local matches, just for the Kenya Premier League, we hardly see a lot of people going to the stadiums. A few people have tried to have a campaign. Jaza Stadium, I'm sure you know about it, has been successful to some extent. So how do you what do you think we need to do to ensure fans are actually going to the stadiums to watch these games and support their teams?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. There was so many challenges which were there, which personally I see those challenges are being sorted. For example, there was a weekends match and there is a night matches. We never had a night match in Kenyan Premier League. For the first time, we're going to have a night matches in Kenyan Premier League because Kenyans are hardworking people. They work, so nobody will going to leave work and watch a match. In everywhere in the world, matches are being played on Wednesday nights and Saturday and Sunday. Tell me a league that played on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on a working day evening. No, matches of league is Wednesday night or Saturday and Sunday. So if the lights are there and we can make 4 matches in lights, I'm also challenging other counties to do it. We're not supposed to have all matches in Nairobi only. We need to have a Bukungu Stadium that has a light in the night.
Yes.
Kakamega Homeboys versus Marashuga should be played at night in Kakamega. How do you think? Just imagine Kakamega and Homeboys are playing in night 7 p.m. Marashuga. The people of Kakamega are from job, so will they go here? They'll go fill the stadium. If you go to Mombasa, if you have your stadium in light, you go to Kinoru, have stadium in light. Games have been played 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m., 9 p.m. Some even went up to 10 p.m. So with this administration and the government, that's what I'm telling you, it needs the commitment of government. So if this government and this Football Kenya Federation administration, as they are doing now, working hand to hand, they do it, I'm sure the Kenyan fans will come back to the field. The sponsors will come back already. The current administration of Football Kenya Federation has agreed with 4 sponsors. We're expecting on the 1st of September 4 sponsors to be signed. The Kenyan Premier League 4 sponsors, and the NSL and the grassroots county leagues in Mashinani. So by the close of this year, you're going to see a lot of things being done. You're going to see it. But me personally, I believe Kenyans are very good people. They just need the platform.
Right.
If you provide the platform, they are there. If you don't provide the platform, they will not come.
Because even in merchandising, actually the most prominent merchandise I see outside here is Gor Mahia and AFC. We need to encourage fans to also support these teams, not just watch them on TV or just go to the pitches, but also support them in terms of buying their merchandise, whether it's their jerseys or any other thing that they're producing. Maybe also a word on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. 'Cause for the first time, we have a pitch that has a seat and a row number. Because initially, Kenyan, you buy a ticket match, you don't know even where to sit. You go to the stadium now hanging where to sit. But now if you buy a ticket, you have your seat number and you can go directly.
Okay.
It's because if a person go to the stadium, automatically he'll pick the jersey. Because he want to cheer it. The team is supporting it. I expect much from this regime and much from me. Every time I say, let's put this house order. Kenyans are there. Because they have shown us they can. Kenya, you remember the Athletic Under 20?
Yes.
That was a small tournament and Kasarani was full, 80,000. Kenyans are sporting loving people. They love the game. If you provide the platform, they are there. And that's why this regime is very working closely with the police and the government and the ministry and everything to provide maximum hospitality for the Kenyan fans. If they got, they are there. We request also the Kenyan fans and the Kenyan people, kindly let us not also spoil our infrastructure, because to get that infrastructure is not a joke. It is a very difficult to get it. How many government successfully had never committed anything on sport? Imagine with that infrastructure, Kasarani Stadium, that has a very nice seats, a row seated. You come and remove just because so and so has not scored a goal. It's very painful.
The hooliganism.
Actually, there is a bill we are proposing in the National Assembly about hooliganism. Because there is no even law that deal with hooliganism and also match fixing and doping. There's a bill we're working on it now in the National Assembly. If that bill passed, because UK, I was hearing the news of UK 2 days ago that they had the lowest season of arrest of cases, minor cases. Because UK, if you misbehave in a match,
yes,
they will revoke your passport. you cannot travel out of UK. They will put your details in
as a UK citizen.
Yes, those who are in the UK were the most hooligans in the world in terms of football because of the tough measures they put. You are no longer the rate of the cases has dropped very much. So we're also going to look on those things and look and compare it what is possible in Kenya, because you can't compare Kenya and UK. Those are first world was developed much. But we want Kenyans request without even using the necessary force and the necessary law. That also let us be a proud citizen of Kenya. Let us also be uzalendo. Let us not spoil our infrastructure,
so that people don't go also to stadiums and find insecurity, lost cars.
Exactly,
because the people who've gone there, unatoka unapata gari yako ilienda.
Yes, those are the things detail we are going to invest it in Chan, even past Chan, even in the local leagues. That's why I'm telling you, the government is the biggest investor and the biggest stakeholder in the sport industry. If they are committed, well. If they are not committed, then nothing can go on. Let us not blame the federation. Let us not blame anybody. The biggest stakeholder is the government. If the government is committed, we are done. If they are not committed, we are not going anywhere.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for this conversation. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. That is Dabar Mohammed. He's the MCA for Eastleigh North, but also he doubles up as the National Executive Committee member at the Kenya Football Federation. The conversation has been around football in Kenya and, of course, sports in general. We shall definitely have more of these conversations, Mheshimiwa. Karibu wakati wowote ukuje tuongee.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the host. I'll join you again and again and again. Thank you so much.
Sawa. Right now, though, we have the news with Winnie Maganga.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has confirmed that Kenya's support for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is now enshrined in law through the 2025 sessional paper passed by Parliament. He noted that Kenya may be one of the few countries to have legislated its position, moving beyond diplomatic statements to a firm legal stance. Speaking at his railways office during a meeting with ambassadors from the Arab League, Mudavadi described the Gaza conflict as deeply tragic, highlighting the significant loss of life and the destruction of property and infrastructure.
Our position on the two-state solution is now embedded in our foreign policy sessional paper, which went through Parliament. So we have gone beyond normal communication. It's a position that is now endorsed even by Kenya's Parliament. And we are very specific that in the two-state solution that we talk to, we are fully cognizant that there must be international legitimacy.
A new nationwide survey by Transparency International Kenya has identified police officers as the most bribery-prone public officials in the country. This raises alarm over the extent of corruption in essential public services. According to the report, which covered 1,033 respondents from 15 counties, the police scored an alarming 84 out of 100 on the bribery index, far surpassing all other sectors. Police have arrested Kennedy Kalombotole, the main suspect in a fresh murder at Kenyatta National Hospital. The arrest follows the killing of Edward Maingi, a patient who had been admitted to Ward 7B on July 11th and found dead in his hospital bed under disturbing circumstances on July 17th, 2025. The hospital confirmed the incident on Thursday, with Chief Executive Officer William Sigilai saying the patient was discovered lifeless at around 2 p.m. shortly after visiting hours. Kalombotole is currently in custody pending arraignment. Political and religious leaders are top of the list of individuals and entities being investigated by the government for aiding and abetting banditry in West Pokot County. The revelations were made by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen. Murkomen also raised alarm over the increasing incidences of human cannibalism and organ trafficking in West Pokot. The CS also added that 101 Eritreans were recently arrested in West Pokot for human trafficking and taken to Kagoma for processing.
We have been doing a multi-agency kind of operation to make sure that we round up all the aliens who are operating in our country. But again, this is one area that is a trafficking of persons. Just recently, over 101 Eritreans were got in this county, and finally they were taken to Kakuma for proper processing. So we have human trafficking here, but we have also presence of aliens. That really speaks to the question of the problem of cannibalism that happened in this place. We must give confidence and assurance to the people of Kenya that it's going to be dealt to the very bottom of it, because then people will live in fear. So it's justice for those who have lost their loved ones.
The judiciary has asked Parliament to amend the constitution to guarantee it a minimum of 3.5% of the national budget, which is approximately 56 billion Kenya shillings. The judiciary cites persistent financial shortages that have severely affected its ability to carry out its mandate. Appearing before the National Assembly Constitutional Oversight Implementation Committee, the Judicial Service Commission urged lawmakers to ensure direct transfers of its full allocation from the Consolidated Fund as required under Article 173. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor!
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed. This is Radio Generation. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. The time right now is 7 minutes past 9 o'clock. In studio, we have another guest, and the conversation is taking a little bit of a time because we've been talking about politics since morning. But right now, we're talking about something completely different. With us in studio is Professor Maxamed Abumaye. Did I say that correctly? Is it Maxamed?
In Somali, it's Mohammed.
Yeah.
Oh, Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Oh,
Mohammed,
so
yes.
Maxamed is actually
now
Mohammed.
Yeah, Mohammed. It's X is Ha in Somali.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I didn't know that.
Let's just stick with Prof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prof, yes.
I'll call I'll call him Professor
Professor
Mohammed.
or Dr. Abumaye. Yeah,
All right.
both of those work, yes.
Karibu tena sana to Radio Generation.
Asante sana.
You've said this is not your first time in Kenya. You said that you lived in Kenya for how long before you went to the States?
5 years, yes, before my family got refugee resettlement to the United States.
All right. So they're still in the States.
Yes, most of my family is still in the States.
All right.
That's correct.
But you're visiting Kenya often.
Yes, and I'm probably starting research for my second book project.
Right.
I just published my first book June 3rd. Yeah, so I'll be returning again next summer for 3 months to continue doing research.
Right. Let's talk about your first book.
Yes.
I believe it's The Black Muslim Refugee.
Yes.
Is that your first book?
Yes.
Right. So Black Muslim Refugee, Militarism, Policing, and Somali American Resistance to State Violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is this book all about?
Yes. So, this book is primarily about the Somali American experience, right, that people don't often talk about. So in this book, why I titled it Black Muslim Refugee, the main title, is that I argue that in the United States, Somali immigrants and refugees live at the intersections of 3 types of discrimination, right? So anti-Black racism in which all black people, all African descendant people in the United States live through, right? Discrimination, police violence, and Islamophobia post 9/11. Somali refugee immigrants who came there were being harassed, stopped, surveilled, and often sometimes even disappeared by FBI, right? Sort of investigating, going into masjids, very much harassing and arguing this community, and then the anti-immigrant sentiment in the United States, where there's hostility. So the refugee component is very critical, because what my work does primarily is show the U.S. is like saying we don't want refugees anymore, they are a burden to our state. And in my book I argue the U.S. is significantly responsible for the Somali Civil War, for their involvement in Somalia, particularly the 1993 U.S. military invasion of Somalia as an empire, and therefore has a moral responsibility to the refugees that they create. And so my research was on Somali refugees in San Diego, and what I found out was the three largest refugee communities, Vietnamese, Somali, and Iraqi, were all people the U.S. went to war against their nation, destroyed, devastated, and then refugee communities fled, right, oftentimes. So kind of showing the relationship between militarized violence of U.S. empire and the refugee communities, right? And this is a huge topic of debate in the United States today, as Trump is closing down borders and saying we don't want refugees anymore in this country.
Rewind a bit to what you said, that what happened in Somalia is the fault of the United States.
Yes.
Right? Maybe just elaborate on that.
Yeah, so that most people, so I did a lot of history. Most people think of the Somali Civil War as tribal conflict, right? Between
and that's what we've been taught.
Yes,
in history
for many years, right? Between the Said Barre dictatorship, his tribe, right, and the tribe of the rebel groups that were trying to overthrow him, particularly the Hawiyo. But what it kind of fails to ignore, right, is the U.S. has, according to certain scholars like Catherine Bestman and others, donated and provided close to $500 million of military funding to the Said Barre dictatorship, propelling him, despite majority of the people saying they no longer want this dictator in power, because he was allowing the U.S. military to have bases, to have certain agreements, right? So the U.S. was always interested in Somalia because of access to military bases, right? And so they propped up a dictator and poured hundreds of millions of dollars of military equipment to Somalia.
You're saying up to $500 million?
$500 million, yes,
right.
Yes, that scholars have sort of estimated. There's a very famous clip of the Said Barre dictator in the U.S. White House meeting with Ronald Reagan as an ally, right? So the U.S. is famous for propping up dictatorial regimes all over Latin America, and in Somalia this is the case. So when the war happened, part of the devastation of the war and why it was so significant was all of the military equipment tank that the dictator and the other folks have, because the U.S. was sort of propping it. But also the U.S. is partly responsible for the war because they had invaded in 1993, Operation Restore Hope, the U.S. military invasion, right? At the height of the war, in which they made the situation significantly worse, right? It was considered a peacekeeping operation, but the eventual goal was one of the rebel leaders, Mohammed Farah, they did not want him to come into power because he was anti-American, right? So they were already involved in crafting and who came to power in the United States, not for the betterment of Somali people, but to sort of secure U.S. interests, right? Access to these military bases, but also access to the Indian Ocean shipping as well, right? And so this is really trying to show that the U.S. relationship to Somalia did not begin in 2007, or right, people understand U.S. relationship to Somalia right now as the war on terror, as the U.S. does drone strikes. I showed the history is much longer. As early as the 1970s was the U.S. involved in Somalia, and according to some of my historical archival documents, the U.S. was involved in Somalia as early as 1950s. when Somalia was trying to gain independence, right? You had U.S. representatives trying to ensure and gain access and build relationships with Somalia. So that's why it completely flips the narrative of a tribal conflict. And I asked, how can the war be a tribal conflict when there was the armies of close to 15 different nations in Somalia, their military, during the height of the war? Right? That is not a civil war. That is sort of a global war, right? And sort of it shifts the narrative, right?
Right.
I would like maybe to understand your life in Kenya. You said you stayed in Kenya for 5 years
Yes.
as a refugee.
Yes.
And maybe you can compare it with the rest of your life that you've lived in the US.
Yeah, so that's really, for audience listening, if they will get this in my book when you get to read it. So the second chapter of my book is about the Dadaab refugee camp, and then the third chapter is what happens to Somali refugees when they first come to San Diego. And that was also my life experience, right? My family had stayed in the Otanga refugee camp in Mombasa, and then the Dadaab refugee camp. And what I argue in my book to try to show is called Militarism and Policing, is that the refugee camp that I experienced and I interviewed was supposed to be a humanitarian space to rescue people, but it became almost a prison. I argue what's called a carceral space, right? So oftentimes refugees are harassed by the police, demand bribes, there's violence committed, right? So even my own personal experiences and others of refugees, people would burn down their tents, right? There was systemic harassment.
With the camps?
Within the camps, right? Not people in the camps, but outside people.
Okay.
Right? This was very popular in when I was living there in Otanga, where people who lived in neighboring areas of the camp would come down and burn the tents because they didn't want the refugees there.
Okay.
Right. So that is a personal experience I've had. But even my research interviewing refugees who are resettled in the United States about their experiences in Dadaab, they would talk about how they weren't allowed to leave the camps, how there was barbed wire, how the amount of food they had was restricted, how they would often experience police violence and harassment if they tried to leave, right? That this place that's supposed to be a humanitarian space became a prison where people's bodies were controlled, how much food, everything. And so to kind of show people who fled the violence of war and are traumatized and then are being re-traumatized and experience violence again, and then you think it gets better in America, it got worse. So they're experiencing all this violence in the camps. When they first arrived, I'm talking about the Somali refugees in San Diego.
Right.
They arrived to America in 1991, the height of the war on drugs. So the violence of war, the violence of the camps, they come to San Diego, there's SWAT teams, so there's military police in America. They were targeting the Somali community because at that time the police were targeting black communities all over America during the height of the war on drugs. And so they were bringing in SWAT teams to deliver search warrants. They're breaking down doors with military equipment. And so this is a refugee community that's re-traumatized again with the violence of policing. So I'm just showing that the violence that follows Somali refugees from Somalia fleeing the war, a military violence, to Dadaab, again experiencing violence, to then America, which is supposed to be a sanctuary for Somalis, another sanctuary, and then now they are being treated as criminals, right, and are experiencing police violence all over again. And so this was kind of my work to show this hidden history of what is happening to refugee communities that is exposing the violence of what I name in my book carceral militarism.
All right.
The interactions between military and police and sort of state violence broadly against refugee communities as well. And then my last chapter, I'll give a brief synopsis, looks at the contemporary moment of the war on terror. So now Somalis are being policed because of anti-black racism, right? And then also Islamophobia, the war on terror. Somalis are being policed because they're seen as a terrorist threat.
All right.
Which is very different from the Kenya context, where it's not necessarily anti-black racism that is dictating the Somali experience, right?
It's just that we don't want you.
Yeah, we don't. It's anti-Somali racism and it's Islamophobia, but in America, it's anti-blackness.
Okay.
All black people are sort of treated, regardless of who they are, as potentially criminal.
Okay.
Right.
So would you say that the way the Somali community in the US was experiencing discrimination was a bit different from what the rest of the black community was experiencing in terms of discrimination?
Yeah, so that is why the Muslim element is very important. So the broader African American community in the United States was only experiencing discrimination around anti-black racism, right? So a black person goes in the store, the people will follow them. People will call the cops on a black person even a very famous African American professor, the police were called to him at Harvard for going into his own house. That is the depths of sort of anti-blackness in America, right? And he had to say, I'm a professor. He didn't have his ID, right? They took him to, and then this is very famous in America in 2008 during when Obama was in power, right? So if the most famous black professor is treated this way, you can see the average black person, right? But the difference is Somalis, African Americans don't experience Islamophobia, right? So I look at what's called the counterterrorism unit of the San Diego Police Department, and they send informants and infiltrators into masjids, and they're arguing Somalis are terrorists. They're wiretapping Somali people's homes. They're stopping youth in the streets, right? And this is not something that is happening to other black people, right? This is specifically black Muslims, and so that's why I say for Somalis, it's anti-blackness and Islamophobia, so it's double the type of discrimination than even the average sort of non-Muslim black person would experience. So I was trying to say we need to differentiate the different types of racism as well in the United States, but look at the relationship between Islamophobia and anti-blackness. In America, they only think Islamophobia only affects Arabs.
All right.
But they don't look at black Muslims, who are the largest. They're 1/3 of the entire Muslim population in America, right? Who are also under surveillance, right?
Yeah. So if we look at other Muslims, like the white, because I'm sure they're white Muslims.
Yes.
Do they also experience Islamophobia?
No, they do not, right? So Islamophobia, as I theorize in my chapter 4, The War on Terror, Islamophobia is specifically race and race-based, right? Actually, if I grew up in America, people will remember in the height of 9/11, people were being assaulted on the streets because they looked Muslim.
By who?
And by white people.
All right.
Simply because there was a Brazilian man. He wasn't even Arab, but he looked Arab-like, right? They're South Asians, right, who are Sikh. They're not Muslim, but they have head covering. They were being assaulted on the street, right? So Islamophobia is directed towards people of color and not white, right? Actually, whiteness in the United States grants you so much privilege. The most terrorist attacks, the FBI does I study the FBI, they do data. The majority of terrorist attacks that happen in America were committed by white terrorist organizations, white supremacists, KKK, other such things.
Right.
They are rarely investigated. Even though they do the majority of the bombings, the majority of the assaults, so on and so forth, the entire U.S. counterterrorism apparatus to catch terrorism in the United States is directed at Arab and Muslim terrorists.
Right.
Although they are less than 1% of the people who actually commit terrorist acts.
Okay.
Right? If you follow U.S. news, we have organizations like Proud Boys, which is a white supremacist organization that wants to get all black people out of the country. They want to make America white. They attack people. They are a terrorist organization, but so white Muslims are not even targeted. The whiteness, being white, gives them protection. So the police exist to protect white people in America.
So you could be a white person wearing a kanzu.
Yes.
And the kofia.
No.
And no one attacks you.
No one attacks you.
But you could be a black person and you wear the same kanzu, same kofia,
yes,
and still get attacked.
Yes, you will probably more likely be attacked because the police in America, the history, what most people don't know, and I do scholarship on this, is police in America began as slave patrols during slavery. Their job was to capture runaway slaves who ran away from the plantation and put them back.
Okay.
They were sheriffs. They had badges and everything. So when slavery ended, they didn't know what to do. And so in the South, when slavery ended, they didn't have jobs. They became police officers. And then their next job was to make sure black people didn't come into white neighborhoods, to maintain Jim Crow segregation. So the past 100 years history of policing in America is to control and commit and terrorize black people. And so up until the 1960s, they are maintaining Jim Crow laws. A black person cannot sit in a white coffee shop. And so to this day, in America, you have black and white neighborhoods. The police's job is still to harass. If they see a black person in a mostly white neighborhood, they're going to stop you. What are you doing here? Even if you live there. The neighbors might call the cops on you, right? And so for me, I was trying to, as you follow Black Lives Matter, that's really in the United States what it's centrally about. But I'm also trying to show Islamophobia as well is really centrally impacting the Somali community. And for Somali community, Islamophobia doesn't just impact them in America, it impacts them in Kenya.
Right.
and in Somalia with the U.S. continuing to commit drone strikes repeatedly, right, and heightening sort of the war on terror, which Trump just recently approved another series of drone strikes in Somalia that oftentimes kills innocent civilians. Right, one of the earliest reports was a baby that was killed during a drone strike. Right, so how can a baby be a terrorist? Right, and so these are.
Yeah, I want to understand, but maybe because we do believe that activism, I mean, writing is a tool for activism and also liberation.
Yes.
I want to understand maybe what is the uptake of your work in by the white people there.
Oh, how do they see my work?
Yes.
So my work is, specifically. I mean, of course, I published. Not to brag about myself, but with the most premier academic press in the United States, University of California Press, right? It's very prestigious. They don't let anybody in. Anything you write has to be proven with evidence, research. My research is 10 years. I began my project, writing it in 2015. So 10 years it just came out. And so they review you, scholars review. So I can't just make stuff up. I'm gathering evidence. I'm interviewing people. I'm gathering archival documents, historical archive, state documents. They give me access to state documents, right, that are declassified. And so, but my work is also about exposing injustice, primarily, right? I don't claim to be apolitical. I'm specifically political because it's an unjust world that I'm trying to combat through my scholarship. But sometimes the white scholars there will see me as being biased, right? Will see me as not being objective, and will see me as not being a rigorous scholar, like that my scholarship is flawed. Even though I've done as much work as they have, right? Did a PhD, but that's the racism that all black scholars experience. Even the ones who are doing chemistry research will be seen as, oh, they got hired because they're black, not because they're qualified. So I'm always being seen by most of the white academic community as his research is not rigorous. It's fake. It's flawed. It's
biased.
Yes, and it's biased, right? As if their work is also not biased, right? Because their work maintains the status quo. They said the world is okay. There's nothing wrong with the world. That's and my work is to sort of show that. But I say for young people, someone said I look like a Gen Z professor, but I come from the youth. Is that to understand that there's various ways of being activists. That intellectualism and scholarship is as important as being in the streets to get people to shift ideology. So what I did in my book, right, is to say the main ideology is that Somalis are terrorists. That's the majority. There's actually hundreds of millions of research being funded by what's called Terrorism Studies, Department of Homeland Security. They hire all these professors to prove that Somalis are terrorists. They're doing this really horrible work, being funded, they're being paid. So how are they objective, right? And so my work over time shows that it's not that Somalis are terrorists. I argue that the state, particularly the U.S. state in particular, is a source of terror in the lives of Somalis. Think about who's being terrorized. It is everyday Somalis whose phones are being tapped, whose homes are being tapped, who are being surveilled, who are being terrorized by the state despite doing nothing. But the state is arguing, and that's why you have to fight an ideological battle. In ideology, in writing, in scholarship, you can counter that. And I'm hoping that my book, along with upcoming scholars, right, they can counter that discourse and challenge that, because I went with a university. I'm with a top university. I published with a press. There's a legitimacy to my work, and I use that privilege to really fight for social justice.
Let's just go back to this whole issue of anti-blackness. Like, for example, here in Africa, we have a lot of ethnicity, tribalism, and we have a lot of xenophobia, depending on which country you're going to go to. But we understand our problem is political.
Yes.
It's the politicians who come and they feed us all this negativity, and we end up fighting each other.
Yes.
What would you attribute the anti-blackness in the Western world? What brings that about? Is it the politics, or is it a culture?
So I lived in both Kenya and the United States, and I do research in both. So I have a very good lens to be able to talk about both together, right, and the differences. So in the United States, I'm in the African Studies department. So these are called Black Studies scholars. We research blackness in the United States. anti-blackness in the United States is seeped into its DNA, right? The country was founded on slavery, right? Foundational for this country, right? It became a wealthy country. Slavery, according to some scholars, right, generated hundreds of billions of dollars for the country over the course, right? This free labor, right? Many universities, such as Brown University in the United States, was built off slave labor. Harvard University, right? It seeped into every institution, and so slavery was based off of systemic anti-blackness. So in the United States, blackness is different. It's not skin color. It's what's called the one drop rule. Anybody who has any African ancestry, one drop of black blood. So there was white people during Jim Crow South, 1950s. They looked white, but they were found out their great grandfather was black. They're stripped of all their job, stripped of everything, forced into. So anti-blackness is seeped into American culture. It's a deeply embedded into every aspect of American society and culture up until the present. So even after Jim Crow segregation was over in the United States, the ideology that black people are inferior, unintelligent, criminal, and dangerous sort of continued. Right, so there is almost a war on black people, and of course, this current regime, Trump, right, is continuing to extend that. Right, certain sociologists, I like scholars, they do work. They show that a black family in America making $200,000 a year has less of a chance of getting approved for a home loan than a white family making $30,000, because real estate agents, lenders, and banks still discriminate. It's not about money, right? Even having money as a black person does not necessarily save you from discrimination, right? And so I think that's the difference in the U.S. context.
Maybe from the perspective of the economic value, the black refugees or a black community in the U.S., what is the value of the economically that the black give in America?
Yeah, you know, part of so it's actually, that's a very multifaceted question, right? So there are a lot of black businesses, right, in the United States. Black, people have, I think contributed significantly. But what one way, right, people don't even think about what black people contribute to the U.S. economy is that, for example, hip-hop culture, hip-hop music, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry that makes tons of money, is completely dependent on black work, black artists. Right, NBA, right, so you have all these avenues in which black people and black culture, right, black culture in the United States, the music that black people produce, the film, so on and so forth, is sort of becomes global, right, influences the world, but black people don't necessarily benefit from it in that way, right? So the black community, right, in the United States, right, has contributed significantly economically, right, with establishing of black businesses, black-owned businesses, particularly in the Midwest of America and in the South. But that economic, it's almost very similar to sort of Somalis, right, in Eastleigh, right, provide these economic benefit, but the government continues to disinvest in black neighborhoods and communities despite all the potential and economic benefit of the black community. So the racism trumps the discrimination, any economic benefits that could be made to this country. But in America, it's a lot more broad than that. Immigrants provide significant economic benefits to America, right? For example, there's a documentary called No Mexicans in LA Without a Day, and they argue the entire California economy would collapse if you got rid of all the immigrants. Because they do all the work. Black people could not live in the suburbs, right? If you look at a map of Chicago in 1950 and 2025, it is exactly the same. Black people live in the poor area on the south side. White people live in predominantly the suburbs where all the resources are. Completely segregated to this day. Now it's not legal separation, right? The separation has become economic, right? Because in America, where you live determines the quality of your school. So if you're a kid in a poor neighborhood, the school is funded based on property taxes and the value of your property taxes. So in a poor neighborhood, your school is getting very little money from the government. The government funds the schools, public schools, very little funding, right? Maybe your school might get like $1 million, right? And a school in a rich suburb might get 10, 20, 30 million. So it's completely, and then that determines your life chances. In America, if you go to a high quality middle school, high school, You have the best teachers. You can get into a good college, right? Even the kind of grocery stores you have in the poor neighborhoods, there's not that many grocery stores. They sell unhealthy foods. In the suburban neighborhoods, there's significantly high quality grocery stores. The roads are maintained. The police are there to protect people. In the poor neighborhoods, the police are there to attack the people that live there, right? And so where you live is the biggest determinant, your zip code, right? And that's completely oftentimes determined by race.
All right.
Right. And so this is why America is deeply, the segregation, it's like South Africa is the closest approximation. The segregation never ended.
I have watched YouTubers on YouTube, and there are specific ones, especially Muslim YouTubers. Some of them are actually even Somali Muslim YouTubers, and they show these new neighborhoods that have come up, that are vastly just Muslim dominated, where you're seeing like like an entire town. I don't know if you know of Mlolongo.
No.
Yeah, so Mlolongo is on your way towards Mombasa, and like it's this huge town that has got just lots and lots of Muslims just living in there.
Right,
so that means they have Muslim schools, they have the masjids, and many other amenities that are specifically just constructed for Muslim utility.
Yes.
So first of all, are you aware of that, and what are your thoughts on such kinds of developments?
No, I was not aware that you obviously like Muslim schools and they're developing their own.
Yeah, but it's like it's I want to call it a town.
Yeah.
Because it's equivalent to what I would call a town here in Nairobi.
Yeah.
But it's like a huge town that has got all these amenities, from the supermarkets to the
and this
schools,
is built by
hospitals.
the community.
Yes, built by predominantly Muslim community. Actually, I don't. From what I saw from some of, because I watched a couple of videos, probably over 10 videos, and what I saw was just Muslims coming together and saying, you know what, let's take this particular area and let's just develop it for the benefit of our community.
Yeah, that's a really powerful indictment of, so there are certain countries where Islamophobia, sort of the racism towards Muslims is sort of heightened, right? In some countries where it's less so. I would say most of the West, and definitely the history of Kenya is, but also in America, right? There's all these Muslim towns and neighborhoods, refugee communities, Somali communities that are coming up because they cannot be individualized. The collective survival is so important when you're sort of under assault. And so I think like people need to study that, and the state and other agencies need to actually invest in that, because look at how productive these communities are that have so little. You gave them nothing and they built something out of it, right? Imagine if you invested more, right? And so I think that's sort of in my work. I look at refugee communities. I argue that's what's called the refugee repertoire. I call it refugee, which is refugees who have nothing, who have been stripped of their home and everything, are oftentimes the ones who are doing the most to support refugee communities. They are the ones building. So when Somalis came to America, America was like, we're doing nothing for you, we're giving you nothing. And they built entire neighborhoods.
Right.
They depended on each other. When a new refugee comes to America, San Diego, they don't have a place to stay. Other refugees
will
host them in their house. They're in a one-bedroom crowded, but they will give them a space. So the entire community is what's sustaining, right? And that's what I call the refugee repertoire, is to show that refugees aren't just oppressed, but they're also rebuilding and remaking their world, right? And we should all be admiring that instead of sort of chastising them as they are drained on our community. They are drained on, they argue, state resources. How are they drained when they're not using it?
Country.
They're not using state resources. They're actually, self-sustaining, right?
So again, for a very long time, America has had all these people who are fighting for, equality, equal rights for all communities, regardless of your color. Martin Luther, Malcolm X, and so many others we can mention. And that has been happening decades even before I was born. But we are still seeing this Islamophobia, anti-blackness, racism, and so on and so forth. Is it because the efforts were not enough, they're not enough, or people just don't want to listen?
So I will begin with the contemporary moment. So my expertise is in America, right? So I study Black history. So I even teach courses on Black history. As early as there was slavery, there was resistance to it. Right. There was enslaved people who jumped off the ship. There were enslaved people who when they landed in America, did slave revolts. Nat Turner, right, fought liberated plantation to plantation. So there's, as long as there's been this oppression, there's been the resistance, right? And so scholars call this the black radical tradition. There's a tradition in America as early as sort of the 1700s of black people resisting their oppression. But every time black people resisted, there was a counter assault, sort of, and a re-emergence of white supremacy. Do you know what the Ku Klux Klan is?
Yes, Ku Klux Klan.
The Ku Klux Klan did not exist during slavery. They only emerged when slavery was abolished in the United States. That was the, okay, black people, we are free now, no more slavery. An entire organization comes up to now suppress you. There was no Jim Crow segregation during slavery. It only emerged after black people were freed. And now they said, you can't eat here, you can't eat here, you can't eat here. And then after Jim Crow segregation was ended, right, civil rights movement in the 1960s, right, and now black people are free, you cannot discriminate against a black person legally. Then you have Nixon and all these presidents create what's called the war on drugs. And he's caught on record saying, we need to police drug and drug offenses. But he said, actually, I'm doing this because I can use it as an excuse to target black people. Like he was caught, on tape.
Yeah.
And so the war on drugs, which is to catch drug offenders, even though white people were doing drugs to the same rates as black people, they only targeted black neighborhoods. And so all the progress that was made after the civil rights movement, right? Like school segregation was, made illegal. They started cracking down on police violence and police arrest of black neighborhoods, right? White families, if a black family, 1960s, right, 70, it's illegal. They went to a white school, all the white parents would take their kids out of the school. So every time there was black progress, there was resistance to it, and this continues to happen, right? Before Trump got elected, right, in this most recent election, you had the largest black resistance movement, the Black Lives Matter, since the civil rights movement in 2020. All this progress, all these corporations were saying, we support black people, they were hiring more black people, they're doing all these diversity initiatives. Now when Trump came to power, he's cut all that. The same companies that were saying, we support black lives, we want to hire more black people, they got rid of that. Trump is attacking diversity, affirmative action. The United States banned affirmative action now, which is meant to address racial injustice, right? And so in some ways, someone will say it is worse time to be a black person in 2025 than it was in 2015.
All right.
Right? Because affirmative action is over, right? And colleges, universities, and corporations, right, it's reducing the number of black people. Affirmative action was meant to address historic injustices and to show there's inequalities in black people's access to higher education. Now that you banned it and universities can use it, there's no way for them to address that inequity, because a white student who goes to an elite, wealthy school has all these resources. A black student from a poor neighborhood cannot compete to a college. There's no way. It's meant to address that. And so in some ways, you're sort of seeing this backlash. And what scholars call that is anytime there's black progress, they call it a white lash. There's white resistance. And white people see that they're losing their power. They don't see black people gaining rights as something good. They're saying, oh, they're taking away from us. This is our country. Even though most black African Americans have been there longer than majority of white people. You ask most white people, their parents came to America in the early 1900s as Italian, Irish immigrants, or so on and so forth.
Right.
African Americans can trace themselves even earlier, 1700s, right? But they're never fully considered American. Right,
as we speak right now, we saw the President Trump the other day saying America first,
yes,
pushing for America first. And from this, we have seen so many black people being deported back to their countries.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen a lot happening. We have seen even right now getting a visa to the US is a tall order, especially here in our country. And this is really affecting so many. Do you think it is maybe it is a reason as to why they have been having all issues of Islams in the US?
It's so, I'm the perfect
because actually they've looked at the people who have been affected mostly. We're looking at the Iraq people from Iraq. We've looked at black refugees. That is from Africa also.
Right. I teach a course on immigration. I'm an expert on sort of U.S. immigration, and I have to return to the U.S. So I hope I don't get banned after this podcast. I love my country. No, but it's the America First is a very interesting phenomenon, and it's a way to keep America white. So when they argue what is American, this is what's called cultural nationalism or nationalism, right? So who is American? What is American culture? Is a way to code and signal whiteness. Only white people can be American, right? This is why white immigrants themselves are not seen as un-American or causing problems. Although in Chicago, one of the largest illegal immigrant population are Polish, but they are not sort of the target for deportations. And so part of what's happening with Trump is, if you look at history of immigration is important. In America, they had this thing called the 1790 Naturalization Act that existed until 1960. This act said that in order to become a U.S. citizen legally, you had to prove you were white. You could not become a citizen. Prove you were white. So you had an Indian man who fought all the way to the Supreme Court, I am white, and they said you are not. And they wanted to keep America white. And so America up until 1960, and this was civil rights activists changed this, they had racial quotas. People from Western Europe, unlimited numbers can come. But from Africa, Latin America, and Asia, there was a quota. Only a limited number, because they were saying we need to keep this country white. That was the goal. And so Martin Luther King Civil, they ended that. So after 1960, the immigrant population became diverse. Immigrants from Asia primarily, Latin America, right? The European immigrant population decreased. And now, when he says America First, part of what they're saying is they want to keep out non-white immigrants. It is inherently, to be American is not about birth or citizenship or lineage, right? Because as indigenous Americans, Native Americans, they're not even referenced. It is about maintaining whiteness. That is what it means to be American, right? That's why you can have someone who's Asian American. She might be of Japanese descent and she's lived in America for 100 years. They will still ask her, where are you really from? And you have a white German man who's a recent immigrant. Before you hear him speak, no one will ask him where you're from. They will assume he's an American. So that means Americanness is tied to whiteness. And that's not me making it up. That is what it's been from 1790 to 1960, right? I wish I had a chart. I teach this in my class. I show the countries most immigrants come from. It's Britain, France, so on and so forth. And then now it's changed. And I think this is why they're coming down on immigrants. It's just not Muslim immigrants. They're coming down on all immigrants of color, particularly from Africa, Latin America, as well, that they consider sort of undesirable.
It's interesting you've mentioned the Native Americans. What do they have to say about all this? We rarely even see them in the news.
Yes.
Being referenced, or even them just talking about these particular issues that you're talking about, Islamophobia, racism, and all kinds of hate.
Yeah, so the most important, and there are some Native American folks, right? But in America, they're so marginalized, right? They're forced to live in reservation. This is their country. Their land was stolen from them, and they were forced to live in these reservations, these poor neighborhoods where there's high rates of alcoholism. And the best critique that Native Americans have, and there's some activists that come about, is they critique American nativism, which is nativism means this is my country, we want foreigners out. And they really argue, how is this really your country?
It's not.
Because this is ours. We were here first.
Right.
And so you're claiming this is a country for white people. And so in every state you go to America, Ohio, whatever, there are Native Americans there, and then they have their own indigenous name for each of these states. And so some of them are really starting to speak out against the anti-immigrant sentiment and the nativism to kind of show, if you really want to be, we defend the most Native Americans, we are truly support Americans, you should be putting Native Americans at the front. They should be deciding who comes in and leaves, because they have if Americanness is based on how long you've been there, they have been there the longest. They're the true, right? But they're not in power, right? It's sort of white people that's in power. So they provide a very good critique of this idea of anti-immigrant. And the irony, I will tell you this, of hating immigrants is the majority of white people are descendants of recent immigrants 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
So you didn't hate immigrants then. you hate it when they start to look different, right? And I think that's what everyone has to sort of understand about the U.S. But Native Americans don't often have a lot of political, economic, or media representation. They're not often represented in media, in film, in news, in journalism. They're very much oftentimes silenced, and that's why you don't hear their voices as much.
All right. You mentioned that you have a book that you're currently working on, a second book.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it something we can talk about?
Yeah. So it's in the preliminary stages of my work. So I'm shifting from just focusing on Somali American experiences to really looking at Somali Kenyan experiences. So initially, I'm looking at sort of how has life changed for Somali Kenyans, right? Looking at Somali Kenyans' encounters with police harassment and violence, looking at Somali Kenyan experiences with discrimination, but also Somali Kenyan identity, right? I have Somalis, both of those born here, and the most recent, has their identity shifted over the course of being in Kenya, right? And has something sort of new emerged. So I've been doing interviews in Eastleigh, sort of the hub, and so this is sort of the focus on my second book. Is there's really rarely a deep analysis of the Somali Kenyan experience,
right,
which is very different from the Somali American experience of what happens to the Somali community, to those who are born in America, and how have they changed, how has their culture changed, and how they see themselves change, and how do they see their role in the nation in which they were born, right? And are they still always seen in America? Somali Americans, even if they've been there for generations, are always seen as forever foreigner, forever outsider. Is this also the case for Somali Kenyans? And so I've been interviewing. If you have any recommendations as well, people to talk to, I've been interviewing.
Well,
people.
the guest who just left here is a council member in Eastleigh.
Okay.
In Kenya we call them MCAs, but I'm sure in America you call them council members, right?
Yes.
So now,
city council.
Yeah. One thing perhaps I need to ask you is, first, are you aware that the Somali community in Kenya is very wealthy?
Yes, yeah. So I've it's sort of almost the opposite in some ways of the United States, is the tremendous economic productivity of the Somali community in Kenya. I'm very much aware of it, right? And thinking about all the sort of, like, some people are telling me without Eastleigh, right, the Kenyan economy would shut down, right? Which is really shocking to hear, right? And so
you've just answered the second part of my question, which I was going to ask: is it the same in the United States? Now, for example, Eastleigh, from what the council member said, is that Eastleigh makes roughly, in terms of turnover, up to 4 billion shillings a day, and that's a lot of money, considering it's a really small town within the Nairobi suburb. So in the US, the Somali community, are you saying that in the Somali community in the States is not as wealthy, or are they struggling in terms of just to make ends meet? Because here in Kenya, they are not struggling at all.
Yeah, no, in the United States, because of the history of segregation, Somali community is struggling significantly economically, right? There's high rates of poverty, struggles to make ends meet. So, and you still have Somali businesses, but the difference is the Somali American community has a lot of political power and representation. So you're seeing more and more Somalis, particularly in Minnesota, in government, city government, state government, local government, and are really gaining sort of political power, right, and representation, but not economic power. So it's a sort of a almost, I'm learning the Kenyan context, almost an inverse, right?
Yes.
Of sort of this Kenyan, and that's because for the United States, it is there is a lot of discrimination against black businesses and black people being able to maintain and sustain businesses, and also the even if you want to have a shop or a store, the property values and the leasing is extremely expensive in the United States.
Here in Kenya, we have a generation called Generation Z. I mean, what are Gen Z? Yes, Generation
it's
Z.
all over the world.
Yes, actually. So this is my point. Like, this generation mostly is as a product of people marrying, like tribes intermarrying. Actually, a majority of them, you realize, I'm a Kamba, I'm married by a Luo. So a generation comes up. There is a sort of high levels of intermarriages of tribes in our country. So now I'm looking at America. Do you think there will be a point in time that the generation, that is the issue of the white, we shall stop talking of the white because we are looking at the immigrants intermarrying with the whites there, and with time they change the generation.
Yeah, no, I have very little optimism for that. And if you ever have a chance, please, I have many friends, right? So who were African international students and who've come and they just talk to me. They're like, why is the racism so bad? I'm not even black, right? I'm Kenyan or I'm Nigerian. They're like, no, in America, you are neither of those. You are black first. Period. This is how you will be treated. Right, you will, and so even though you have intermarriages, right? Intermarriage was illegal in America for many years up until the 1960s. It does not change. Even mixed race people are treated as less than, right? Even if you're 3/4 white and only 1/4 black, right? Because even amongst the younger generation, even younger generation of white people, there is a rising conservatism and almost what's called white nationalism. Right, which argues that the nation, right, national identity is white. We must maintain our whiteness, and America only belongs to us. So in some ways, right, you're seeing it's a backlash, right? I don't think it's going to last. The optimism, a backlash to all the progress minorities in America have made, economically, politically, educationally, especially in the media sphere. People of color, music, podcasts, journalism, right? We are very prominent. We are changing the cultural discourse to be more inclusive, less racist. And now they're like, you're trying to say that I should feel guilty as a white person. You're attacking my whiteness, and they are back. They are attacking. Now in America, you can't even teach about race in school. In many states, they banned the teaching of race. You cannot talk about race, right? And even in my, I shouldn't talk about my university. I want to keep my job, right? But they're banning diversity. They even at many institutions, you cannot have black alumni organizations. They said that is racist to white people. They've turned the racism and said now it's anything about diversity is racism.
They've owned it.
They've owned it. They've taken the narrative and they say we are the one experiencing racism. Anytime you say diversity, it is a discrimination against as a white person.
Is that because I'm looking at it as a result of what American democracy is all about?
Yeah.
Because I have the freedom to decide who and what I am. I can decide today to have this freedom of which is good, which is okay, the whole freedom of expression. But I feel like America has stretched it a little bit too far in terms of just the parameters that here in Africa we have in terms of the sort of things we can say, how we can say them. There is a limit, but I feel like in the States there's no limit up to a point where by now we have created a limit by virtue of there being no limit.
Yeah, no, it's not a freedom of expression issue actually, because banning teachers, right, who research race to not be able to teach race is the opposite of freedom of expression. But that is the state.
It was there before.
It was there before, yes.
And it was being used but now because of its extensive use and what it has birthed, now it becomes a problem. Now we have to curtail it.
Right. Yeah. It's. I don't think it's less of a freedom of expression thing and more the conservative right has gained significant political power.
Exactly.
And so they get to choose what you can express and what you cannot. Right. And so America's not one country. It is 50 countries. Right. So if you live in a state like Florida, the laws are so radically different than California, right? In Florida, so they're banning abortion, they're banning any courses on race and diversity. In California, they've made learning about race and diversity mandatory in the state legislation. So it's who has power at the governor level, at the Senate level, and at the White House. And so America at the federal level is dominated by the Republicans, but each state, the liberal states, are fighting back against this pushback, and I think that they're starting to almost go to an autocratic and dictatorial type of. The democracy is actually waning, but I think because they're curtailing people's rights,
yep,
there's going to be a pushback after Trump is out of power.
Thank you so much, Professor Abu Maye, for making time to come and have this conversation. Of
course,
we've now seen it from a different perspective. We've just been watching it in movies and watching it in on Netflix, but now I think I understand it differently and actually I'm going to be watching now TV differently.
Yes,
with a different perspective after this conversation today. All right, so that has been Friday morning. I hope you've captured a lot.
Yes, and maybe if somebody wants your book, where do they get it?
So my book is available on Amazon, on Target, but primarily Amazon. If you just Google on Amazon Black Muslim Refugee, it's available as a Kindle version, paperback, and hardcover as well.
Thank you.
All right. That's where we come to a close as far as this is concerned. See you next week bright and early on Monday at exactly 6 a.m. Right now, though, we do have Winnie Maganga with the news.
It's 10 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.